Chapter 519. Half an hour later, Lu Yang brought Jiang Chun and Yin Chang'e into the great heaven abode. The arrival of the two outsiders naturally attracted the attention and speculation of many people. The people of the great heaven abode were especially curious as to why the mansion master had brought two outsiders with him. There's already one glittering martial tower. Why did he bring two back? The mansion master might have his own plans. While everyone was guessing, glittering martial tower, who had settled in the great heaven abode, had already learned of the matter. Not long after, glittering martial tower walked into the main hall of the great heaven abode with a young man. Mansion master. After glittering martial tower entered, he bowed to Lu Yang. Even though he was the holy son of the martial pavilion, he did not dare to be too presumptuous in the sky flow boundary. Especially in the great heaven abode, one had to know that the great heaven abode had a high status in the sky flow boundary. Not only did it have a deep foundation, but it also had great prestige. In fact, in this area, as long as the great heaven abode gave the order, many experts would listen to it. His looks are ordinary, Jiang Chun thought to himself. He sized up glittering martial tower and did not think much of him. Glittering martial tower's looks were very ordinary. It was as if he was thrown into a crowd and could not be picked out. However, the young man beside glittering martial tower was quite handsome. He had a pair of sword-like eyebrows, a high nose bridge, and a tall figure. In terms of spirit, glittering martial tower was not as good as this young man. Let me introduce you. This is Jiang Chun, the person you're looking for. Lu Yang said. The one beside him is Yin Chang'e. Oh! Glittering martial tower was slightly surprised when he heard that. He looked at Jiang Chun meaningfully. Then, he raised his eyebrows and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He said with contempt, "Are you here to die? The mansion master should know why we're here." Jiang Chun said, "Let's not talk anymore. Shall we fight?" "You? Are you worthy?" The young man beside glittering martial tower narrowed his eyes and said with contempt, "What's there to fight with a great saint like me? It's not bad to die." Ahem. Yin Chang'e coughed a few times, feeling as if she had been ignored. Then, Yin Chang'e took out the booklet for showing off. After a few glances, he said seriously, "The great way is empty. Only one person can walk against the wind." At this moment, the group of people was in a mess. They looked at Yin Chang'e in a daze, wondering if this kid was stupid. Jiang Chun also blushed. He poked Yin Chang'e's shoulder and said softly, "Ahem, you shouldn't say such things in this kind of situation." "Oh, then I'll look for it again," Yin Chang'e muttered and opened the pretentious booklet again. However, before he could say anything, Lu Yang waved his hand and said, "The great heaven sanctum's intention is clear. Whoever can take the ancestor of the great heaven sanctum out of the celestial flowing boundary will be our honored guest." Then Lu Yang added, "If you can take a few more with you, the powerhouses of the great heaven sanctum will not forget your kindness when they leave the celestial flowing boundary." Mansion master, although I don't have many followers, I have a lot of powerhouses. It won't be a problem to take 2 or 3 of them out. Limlang Wu Ta said. Moreover, the martial pavilion that I'm in is the strongest force on the godless continent. The strongest force? Yin Chang'e pursed his lips and said with a strange expression. Even Limlang Wentian wouldn't dare to say that the martial pavilion is the strongest force on the godless continent. One should know that the godless continent was full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. The strength and foundation of some sects and forces were not inferior to the martial pavilion at all. It was just that those sects and forces were unwilling to get involved in worldly affairs. For example, if the Skirich Temple and Seclusion Temple were to appear, the martial pavilion would have nothing to do with them. No matter how you do on the godless continent, even if you're the strongest in the world, it has nothing to do with me. Lu Yang said, "What I want now is someone who can take us out of here." Hearing this, Limlang Wu Ta was embarrassed. He also knew that the martial pavilion was nothing in a place like the Skyflow domain. "Mansion master, I'm sure you're aware of my strength. I could take one person out of here," Limlang Wu Ta said, then pointed to the youth beside him and said, "He can do it too." Anyone can say that, but whether they can do it or not is another matter. Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows. Let's not talk about anything else. Let's have a spar first? How about a battle to the death? Linlang Wu Ta's eyes narrowed. I'm sure you're aware of the enmity between the martial pavilion and you. That's what I'm thinking. Jiang Chun nodded. However, although Jiang Chun said that he did not intend to fight, after all, his cultivation was only at the Great Saint Realm, while Linlang Wu Ta was a peerless genius whose cultivation had reached the upper level of the Immortal Realm. He was only one step away from the Immortal Realm. If Jiang Chun fought personally, there was no chance of winning. Nian Chang'e, I'll leave it to you. At this moment, Jiang Chun patted Nian Chang'e's shoulder and said, whether the world is chaotic or not will be up to you from now on. You keep a low profile. Nian Chang'e rolled his eyes. He did not want to expose his identity. However, he still wanted to fight. Nian Chang'e walked out of the main hall and waved to Linlang Wu Ta behind him. Come on. There's no need for me to do it myself, Linlang Wu Ta said disdainfully. He nodded to the youth beside him and said, You go. Okay. The youth said softly and immediately followed him out. Then Lu Yang, Jiang Chun, and the others all stepped forward, intending to watch the battle. However, in just 3 breaths' time, before everyone left the main hall, a scream came from outside. When everyone walked out of the main hall, they saw that the youth was already a corpse. What's going on? It can't be. At this moment, even Jiang Chun was dumbfounded. What's going on? Instant kill? One had to know that the youth's cultivation was not weaker than Nian Chang'e's. Furthermore, he was able to follow Linlang Wu Ta, which meant that his combat power was not weak either. But now, this youth was dead in 3 breaths' time. Don't look at me. I didn't do it. At this moment, Nian Chang'e was also a little confused. He said very innocently, I didn't kill him. Mansion Master Lu Yang. Looks like you've been bored out of your mind recently. There are actually a few more outsiders in the mansion. At this moment, an old man in black suddenly appeared beside the youth's corpse. There was a sharp needle in his hand, dripping with blood. Inchai. Lu Yang's face darkened, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. When Jiang Chun and the others saw this Inchai, their hearts trembled even more. This was because this was a Heaven's Decay 5th stage Dark Master. If a Dark Master of this level wanted to assassinate Jiang Chun and the others, Jiang Chun and the others would not be able to stop him at all. The 3 Jars Banquet is about to begin. I came this time to inform you, Inchai said with a smile. Inchai smiled as he flicked the needle in his hand and said, My village is going to win this 3-day banquet. Chapter 520. The 3 Jars Feast was a feast held in the northwest region of the flowing heaven boundary. Every time the 3 Jars Feast was held, the top sects, clans, and forces in the northwest region would participate. However, the Great Heaven Abode was always the winner. This time, if there were no accidents, the Great Heaven Abode would be the winner. This was because the Great Heaven Abode was very powerful and had a deep foundation. Their disciples, elders, and ancestors were all very powerful. However, judging from the current situation, there seemed to be a problem with the 3 Jars Feast this time. The 3 Jars Feast depends on strength. If the Yin clan is strong enough, it won't be a problem for you to win, Lu Yang said. What does the Yin clan's victory have to do with the Great Heaven Abode? Don't tell me you came to the Great Heaven Abode just to tell me this? The 3 Jars Feast this time is different from the past. Yin Shui said mockingly. All the sects have discussed and agreed that only the outsiders can participate in the 3 Jars Feast this time. The Great Heaven Abode did not agree to this. Lu Yang's face darkened. He knew there was something wrong with Yin Shui coming here. However, he did not expect the sects in the northwest region to change the rules of the 3 Jars Feast without the consent of the Great Heaven Abode. Were they looking down on the Great Heaven Abode? Or were these sects trying to rebel against the Great Heaven Abode? It doesn't matter whether the Great Heaven Abode agrees or not. Yin Shui said mockingly. The Great Heaven Abode has been the leader of the northwest region for so many years. It's time for them to give up their position. Do you think that the great heaven abode won't be able to win because of this? Lu Yang said softly. A trace of anger flashed in his eyes. In the northwest region, the great heaven abode was the leader of all the sections. However, these sects seem to be rebelling against the great heaven abode. That's all I have to say. I'll take my leave first, In Shui said with a smile. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure disappeared. At this moment, Lu Yang's face was gloomy. He kept silent for a long time. His eyes kept flashing between Jiang Chun, Nian Chang'e, and Linlang Wu Ta. After a dozen breaths, Lu Yang waved his hand and said, "The great heaven abode only has the three of you now. We'll have to rely on you to participate in the three jars feast. So, the grudges between the three of us should be put aside for now." Jiang Chun frowned, feeling somewhat displeased. The martial pavilion had always wanted to kill Jiang Chun, and Jiang Chun had always wanted to destroy the martial pavilion. Now that he had coincidentally encountered the martial pavilion's holy son, with Jiang Chun's temper, how could he let Linlang Wu Tua go? However, this was the flowing heaven realm. He was in someone else's territory, so Jiang Chun didn't have much of a temper. Then let's wait for a while, Glittering Martial Arts said softly. Let these two live for a while longer. Linlang Wu Tua, aren't you overconfident? Nian Chang'e said disdainfully. If it weren't for your father, would you have become the martial pavilion's holy son? What a joke! Linlang Wu Tuo's face darkened as he shouted angrily. Among the disciples of the martial pavilion, I am the strongest. If I don't become the holy son, who will? Jiang Chun curled his lip. What's the point of having a powerful father? So what? In this flowing heaven realm, you don't dare to let out a fart. You! Linlang Wu Tua pointed at Jiang Chun. His face flushed red, but he couldn't say a word. Just as Jiang Chun said, in this flowing heaven realm, Linlang Wu Tua really didn't dare to act recklessly. If he angered the natives here, the consequences would be very serious. The natives here wouldn't care about your identity. So, what if your identity was high in the godless continent, in the flowing heaven realm? Even a dragon had to lie down. I'm afraid the three of you aren't enough. Lu Yang said, 3 jars of banquet, 5 people. If he doesn't die, there's only one left, Linlang Wu Tua said. When he said this, Nian Chang'e couldn't help but curl her lips in disdain. She said, him? To lose face or to die? With this strength, an early death is also a form of relief. Linlang Wu Tua was speechless. He finally found out that Nian Chang'e's mouth was really vicious. In a few days, the 3 jars of banquet will begin. In these few days, if you know any experts, you can invite them to the great heaven abode. Lu Yang said, if you can win, the great heaven abode will protect you in this flowing heaven realm. What if you can't? Nian Chang'e asked. Can't? Lu Yang glanced at Nian Chang'e, smiled gently, and didn't say much. However, Jiang Chun knew that if they couldn't win, they wouldn't be able to leave this place alive. The 3 of you will stay here, temporarily. Don't use force, Lu Yang said in a deep voice. Then, he arranged accommodations for Jiang Chun and the other 2 and left. Jiang Chun and the other 2 were arranged to stay at the back mountain of the great heaven abode. This was the place where the disciples of the great heaven abode cultivated. When Jiang Chun and the other 2 entered, a few youths came over and greeted Linlang Wu Tua. Obviously, Linlang Wu Tua had been in the great heaven abode for a long time and was very familiar with this place. These 2 newcomers? This guy. He's a great saint. Why is his combat strength so weak? At this moment, the disciples of the great heaven abode looked at Jiang Chun with contempt. In particular, a Saint King disciple looked at Jiang Chun with disdain and said, what's the difference between your aura and a Saint King like me? Jiang Chun was displeased when he heard that. One should know that on the godless continent, Jiang Chun's great saint aura was comparable to a cultivator in the lower divine realm. However, Jiang Chun's aura was only comparable to a Saint King cultivator in front of this group of indigenous cultivators from the flowing heaven abode. This was too much of a blow to their confidence. I know that the combat strength of the cultivators from the flowing heaven abode is very strong. I accept it, Jiang Chun said and winked at Nian Chang'e, indicating that they should leave first and not get into a conflict with the disciples of the great heaven abode. However, the wind wouldn't stop blowing. Before Jiang Chun could leave, glittering Marshall Tower said, "The mansion lord thinks highly of these two people." "Oh, the mansion lord thinks highly of these two people? Just these two people?" At this moment, the disciples of the great heaven abode began to mock Jiang Chun and his companions. They couldn't understand why the mansion lord thought highly of these two outsiders. It was fine if he thought highly of glittering Marshall Tower. After all, they had all seen glittering Marshall Tower's strength. However, the strength of these two newcomers was, "How about I fight you, a great saint, with my Saint King cultivation?" The young man who spoke earlier walked over and stood in front of Jiang Chun. He said, "Don't tell me you don't dare." "You're right." Jiang Chun was very thick-skinned. He knew when to yield and when to stand tall. He said with a smile, "I really don't dare. What can you do to me?" "I." The young man was dumbfounded. The people around them were even more dumbfounded. They didn't expect Jiang Chun to be so direct. Chapter 5:21. This is the grand heaven territory. It's not up to you. The young man's face suddenly darkened. How can any Tom, Dick, or Harry enter the grand heaven territory? Especially an outsider like you. You are not strong enough. How can you sneak into the grand heaven territory? Don't talk nonsense. I won't fight with you anyway, Jiang Chun said softly. He had made up his mind not to fight with the young man. However, Jiang Chun's decision did not mean that the young man would not attack him. Just as Jiang Chun finished speaking, the young man suddenly attacked him. He threw his palm over. It was like a piece of precious glaze that hit Jiang Chun. Jiang Chun's body shook, but he was not hurt at all. After all, after burning the Tao soul of the undying bird, Jiang Chun's body had undergone a transformation. The inextinguishable fire was flowing in his body. However, the moment Jiang Chun was hit by the palm, a thought flashed through his mind. If I can withstand this palm, I'm afraid this young man will attack me again, right? Jiang Chun thought. At the thought of this, Jiang Chun's chi and blood surged. He forced himself to spit out a mouthful of blood and took more than 10 steps back. Furthermore, a miserable shriek came from his mouth. He even shouted, so powerful. At this moment, the group of people was dumbfounded and confused. This was because the people around them were not weak, nor were they blind. Don't you think your acting is a bit too much? Nian Changa's face darkened. She said softly, "Make it more realistic. I can't stand it anymore." Jiang Chun opened his mouth and thought that his acting was not bad. Thinking of this, Jiang Chun's body twitched. His eyes rolled up, his legs stopped moving, and he fainted. I said, "It's too much, right?" The young man's face darkened. He walked up to Jiang Chun and kicked Jiang Chun a few times. He said, "Did you really faint?" Hearing this, Jiang Chun said subconsciously, "Yes, I really fainted." At this moment, the surrounding people were completely speechless. You've fainted, but you can still hear what others are saying? He could even answer other people's questions? Big brother, please. Since you want to act, can't you put in more effort? The young man was also embarrassed. His face was flushed red, and his eyes were bloodshot. Are you looking down on me? Or are you toying with me? The young man roared angrily. Holy light appeared on his body, and a bolt of lightning fell from his palm. Are they serious? Jiang Chun's heart tightened. He slammed his palms on the ground and jumped up. His body moved horizontally to avoid the lightning. Then, Jiang Chun rushed out like a ghost and appeared behind the young man in an instant. His palm struck out like an eagle's claw, grabbing onto the top of the young man's head. Are you satisfied now? Jiang Chun said coldly, but he was thinking, is my acting really that bad? What does a great saint defeating a saint king mean? That's normal. The surrounding disciples of the great heaven abode were very unhappy and unconvinced. The young man said with a sullen face, if you have the guts, find a great saint to fight with you. I don't want to fight. You're the one who forced me to fight, Jiang Chun said angrily. He let go of the young man's head and said, don't force me. What's wrong with forcing you? You're an outsider. A young man with a great saint cultivation shouted angrily. He took a step forward, and black fog surrounded his body. He pointed at Jiang Chun and said, "Do you dare to fight with me?" "No." Jiang Chun immediately shook his head. He knew that the combat strength of the natives of the celestial flowing realm was very strong. Moreover, even though these people looked young, they had actually lived for at least 1,000 years. Some of them had even lived for 10,000 years. It was very difficult to cultivate in the celestial flowing realm. It was impossible for ordinary people to cultivate to the great saint realm without thousands of years. "Boy, it's not up to you." The great saint shouted angrily and struck out with his palm. Black fog burst out, and a black flame burned. Jiang Chen's eyes narrowed. He knew that today's matter would not be over so easily. Now, if he wanted these disciples of the great heaven abode to behave, he had to intimidate them with his strength. "This is your choice," Jiang Chun said softly. "If you embarrass yourself, don't blame me." As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Chun waved his fists, and the chi of the 6 paths filled the air. However, before he could make a move, Lu Yang's voice rang out, "Stop." Lu Yang was the mansion master of the great heaven abode. His words were orders, and no one dared to disobey him. Immediately, the great saint stopped, and so did Jiang Chun. "These two people are the distinguished guests of the great heaven abode," Lu Yang said in a deep voice. "Stop. If they are injured before the 3 altar banquet, I won't let you off easily." The flowing heaven realm was not allowed to participate in the 3 altar banquet. Currently, only Jiang Chun, Nian Chang'e, and Nian Chang'e could represent the great heaven abode to participate in the 3 altar banquet. If Jiang Chun and the others were injured before the 3 altar banquet, their combat strength would definitely be affected. If they were defeated by the 3 altar banquet, it would be a huge blow to the great heaven abode. After the 3 altar banquet is over, I'll deal with you too. With your strength, I'm afraid you'll be killed during the 3 altar banquet. Disdain and provocation could be heard all around, but no one dared to make a move. Jiang Chun did not say anything. He left with Nian Chang'e and went to the residence that Lu Yang had arranged for them. "The natives here are really strong," Jiang Chun said in a low voice. Although he hadn't fought with the great saint, Jiang Chun knew very well that once they started fighting, he would have to use his trump card if he wanted to win. Just like before, Jiang Chun was going to use the 6 paths of reincarnation fist. "I say, you should quickly break through to the immortal state." At this moment, Nian Chang'e entered Jiang Chun's room and said worriedly, "The 3 altar banquet this time is not going to be easy to deal with." "Did you find out something?" Jiang Chun asked. "I just heard that the 2 saints of Upper Qinkuan and Lower Qinkuan have joined the Yin family village. The saint of Upper Qinkuan has also joined a sect and is preparing for the 3 altar banquet," Nian Chang'e said in a low voice. "The 2 saints of Upper Qinkuan are undoubtedly strong, and the saint of Upper Qinkuan is said to be in the top 10 of all the sky prides." "So what?" Jiang Chun said softly. "They are not natives, and their combat strength is not as terrifying as the natives of the flowing heaven realm. But they are all peerless sky prides. Even if there is a small gap between your cultivation level, it will be difficult for you to defeat them," Nian Chang'e said. "When the time comes, if you fight with them and they try to kill you, what will you do? You should know that forbidden techniques cannot be used on the blood path. I have no enmity with them. Even if we fight, they won't try to kill me, right?" Jiang Chun frowned. However, Nian Chang'e shook his head and said, "Every battle of the 3 altar banquet is a battle to the death." "A battle to the death? Must it be a battle to the death?" Jiang Chun was shocked. If it was a battle to the death, then with Jiang Chun's current cultivation level, he would definitely die if he participated in the 3 altar banquet. Chapter 5:22. There's something I don't know if I should say. Jiang Chun had a strange expression, and his old face was slightly red. This made Nian Chang'e very puzzled. "What is it?" Nian Chang'e asked. "After I entered the bloody path, I haven't transcended the heavenly tribulation for a while," Jiang Chun said, pointing to the top of his head. "You said that if the heavenly tribulation falls, You have been suppressing the heavenly tribulation, Nian Changa exclaimed, her heart palpitating. Nian Changa knew that Jiang Chun was transcending the tribulation every 2 to 3 days. It was either the heavenly tribulation or the heavenly punishment. Sometimes there would be some strange things. And now, Jiang Chun hadn't transcended the tribulation for a while. How many heavenly tribulations and heavenly punishment had he accumulated? If I break through to the immortal state, the heavenly tribulation that I suppressed previously will probably descend all at once. Jiang Chun smiled bitterly, his expression a little ugly. I don't know if I can get through it either, but you have to break through eventually, Nian Changa muttered. Why don't you use my 36 lotuses to help you transcend the heavenly tribulation? However, Nian Changa was also a little afraid. After all, Jiang Chun's heavenly tribulation was too terrifying and terrifying. If the heavenly tribulation descended all at once, could the 36 lotuses block it? If they couldn't, the 36 lotuses were very likely to be destroyed. If their Tao souls were destroyed, even if Nian Changa didn't die, she would be seriously injured. Most importantly, the 36 lotuses were Nian Changa's greatest trump card. Suddenly, Nian Changa's eyes lit up and a trace of mischief appeared on her face. If you transcend the tribulation at the 3-altar banquet, without a doubt, my opponents will all die. Jiang Chun blinked and said, Your idea is quite good. It is good, Nian Changa whispered and asked, but have you thought about it? The range of the heavenly tribulation is so large. When the time comes, it will be a large group of people. It doesn't matter if you kill your sworn enemies, but what if you hit someone else? Jiang Chun didn't know what to do with her. If it hit the natives of the heaven-flowing world, the consequences would be very serious. Moreover, Jiang Chun wasn't confident that he could survive the heavenly tribulation. However, Jiang Chun could also feel that he was not far from breaking through. We'll see when the time comes. Jiang Chun sighed. If he was really forced into a corner during the 3 jugs feast, then he would just chop them all up. Then, Nian Changa left. Jiang Chun sat cross-legged in his room, cultivating peacefully. Time also slowly passed by. 5 days later, noises could be heard from outside. A bunch of ants. Submit to this king's crotch. Huh? When he heard this extremely arrogant and indecent voice, Jiang Chun immediately opened his eyes. With a strange expression, he hurriedly walked out of the room. As soon as he opened the door, Jiang Chun saw a bald youngster not far from him. He was stepping on a Great Haven Mansion's disciple, and he wore a disdainful look. Huang Dade. Jiang Chun's eyes widened as he wondered how Huang Dade managed to enter the Great Heaven Sanctum. Could it be that Huang Dade was also invited to participate in the 3 jugs feast? You damn Baldy, let me go. Baldy, do you want to die? This is the Great Heaven Sanctum. At that moment, angry shouts could be heard from all around. There were even a few godly state experts who were glaring at Huang Dade. Huang Dade was fearless. Stepping on the young man, he raised his head and said, I'm Huang Dade. Remember my name. My name is destined to be recorded in the annals of history. I'll remember it forever. You're still the same. Jiang Chun covered his face. Huang Dade was really bold. Don't you know that this is the heaven-flowing world? Bam! Before Huang Dade could continue to act tough, a godly state cultivator slapped him with his palm. With that, Huang Dade was sent flying. Blood splattered everywhere as he fell to the ground. He screamed in pain and could not get up for a long time. Third brother, who bullied you? At this moment, a handsome young man walked over from afar. He had an extraordinary aura and walked with a majestic gait. Second brother, how dare this brat bully me with his cultivation? Huang Dade looked aggrieved as he started to wail. I'm Miao Dade. Are you the one who bullied my brothers? The young man revealed his identity. At this moment, Jiang Chun turned around silently and closed the door quietly, pretending he hadn't seen anything. Not long after, the sound of fighting could be heard outside the house. About 10 breaths later, Miao Dade's scream could be heard. Apparently, Miao Dade was beaten up by a godly state cultivator. Damn it, how dare you bully my brothers? Suddenly, Jiang Chun heard Long Dade's voice again. Oh my God, 3 days are here. Jiang Qin's face darkened. He knew that the great heaven sanctum was going to be a mess soon. One had to know that when three Vedanta were mixed together, they would be the devil incarnate. Now that Huang Dade and Niao Dade were beaten up, Long Dade would not let this go. "Who are you?" someone asked. "I'm Long Dade." Long Dade's voice was arrogant. "Kneel down. Sleep with my two younger brothers." "What?" The group of people was dumbfounded, completely dumbfounded. Even Jiang Chen rolled his eyes. He wondered to himself whether Long Dade had been led astray by Jiang Chen. Back then, when Long Dade was just born, he looked quite pure. "Cough, cough. I'm sorry. Come and apologize to my brothers." Long Dade's face turned red. He coughed a few times and pretended to be serious. "I'm the holy ancestral dragon of might and virtue." "Ancestral dragon. You're just a hooligan, bastard." Curses could be heard. No one believed Long Dade's identity. After all, whose ancestral dragon would be like this? "You're the one who bullied my brothers just now, right?" Long Dade's voice could be heard again. Through the crack in the door, Jiang Chen saw Long Dade walking toward the godly realm native. "Oh, lower godly realm now?" Jiang Chen said softly. Long Dade's cultivation base had improved a lot in just a few days. However, this was the celestial flow realm. The native's combat power was shocking. Jiang Chen did not think Long Dade could defeat the godly realm native. However, what happened next stunned Jiang Chen. Long Dade struck with his palm, and a dragon claw appeared and pressed the godly realm native to the ground. "What? This native's combat power is so strong." The disciples of Great Heaven Palace were shocked. They had never seen that a native's battle prowess was actually formidable to such an extent. "I've told all of you that I'm the ancestral dragon, the first ancestor of the dragon race," Long Dade said proudly. "The flowing heaven world's das cannot suppress me. No matter where I am, my combat power will always be beyond your reach." "The first ancestral dragon is really strong," Jiang Chen exclaimed. This was the advantage of being from a different race. Chapter 5:24. Everything in the world had its own advantages and disadvantages. Some living beings were born and nurtured by the heavens and earth. They were the favored ones of the heavens. No matter where they were, these living beings were the best of the best. Their strength would not be affected by the environment. For example, Long Dade was the strongest ancestral dragon of the dragon clan. No matter where he was the strongest. At this moment, Long Dade narrowed his eyes and raised his chin. He looked as though he was the most powerful person in the world. The disciples of the Great Heaven Sanctum were furious. They cursed at Long Dade. However, there was nothing the disciples of the Great Heaven Mansion could do against Long Dade, who was so powerful that they could do nothing to him. "The three of us were personally invited by Mansion Master Lu Yang. You'd better show us some respect." Long Dade raised his eyebrows and said arrogantly, "Now that you've injured two of my brothers, how are you going to settle this?" "Long Dade, don't go too far. This is the Great Heaven Sanctum, not the godless continent." A great sage shouted angrily. "You can't defeat me," Long Dade said softly. "There are many experts in the Great Heaven Sanctum. Many of them are stronger than you." A low-level divine state expert's face turned red. It was obvious that he was furious. "You can't defeat me," Long Dade said. "We're just ordinary disciples of the Great Heaven Sanctum. If the strongest disciples of the Great Heaven Sanctum come, you're nothing." An upper-level divine state expert said angrily. "You can't beat me." Long Dade was like a recorder. He squinted his eyes and said mockingly, "You just can't beat me." Puff! The disciples of the Great Heaven Sanctum were furious. They glared at Long Dade, but they did not dare to make a move. Just as they had said, with Long Dade's strength, no one here would be able to defeat him unless the top disciples of the Great Heaven Abode personally made a move. "My two brothers are seriously injured. They still have to participate in the three-altar banquet in a few days. If they're defeated because of their injuries, can you bear the responsibility?" Long Dade said coldly. Huang Dade and Niao Dade screamed when they heard Long Dade's words. One of them was clutching his chest while the other was clutching his forehead. His face was filled with pain. At first glance, these two fellows seemed to be seriously injured. They are really good at acting. Jiang Chen's face darkened. He secretly thought that the Great Heaven Prefecture would be in chaos now that these three fellows were together. Without 100 girls, I'm afraid I won't be able to recover. Huang Dade cried. My injuries are too severe. I need yin and yang to balance. Without at least 100 stalks of blood imperial grass, I'm afraid that I won't be able to heal this injury. Bird Dade was also crying. He went along Dade's side and cried, Big brother, I'm in so much pain. Am I going to die soon? Long Dade's face darkened. After a moment of silence, he said in a serious tone, How about this? Get 10 women to serve my third brother and send over 100 stalks of imperial blood grass to heal my second brother. Otherwise, I won't let this matter rest. When everyone heard this, their expressions became strange, and some of them even stomped their feet in anger. 100 stalks of imperial blood grass to heal? Do you think the imperial blood grass is cabbage? It's a rare treasure that grows a leaf every 1,000 years, blooms every 10,000 years, and bears fruit every 10,000 years. A stalk of imperial blood grass could cleanse one's marrow and bones, purify one's blood, and condense one's qi. It was a great tonic for cultivators. An ordinary sect would be considered rich if they had 3 stalks of imperial blood grass. Moreover, they wouldn't be willing to use them recklessly. They would use them as life-saving herbs. And now, Bird Dade was asking for 100 stalks of imperial blood grass. Why don't you go rob a bank? Of course, Huang Dade was the most outrageous one. It's fine that Bird Dade used the imperial blood grass to heal his injuries, but King used women to heal your injuries? Big brother, you're so perverted. Since you're personally invited by the mansion master, you're the distinguished guests of the Great Heaven Abode. At this moment, a man at the upper level of the immortal state walked over from afar. He looked calm and said slowly, It's our fault for injuring your 2 brothers. It's good that you know you're wrong. Quickly compensate us. Long Dade said, How about this? I'll get 3 maidservants to take care of your third brother and send over a stalk of imperial blood grass to heal your second brother. What do you think? The man said. When Long Dade heard this, he was immediately displeased. What? You want a bargain? Greetings, eldest senior brother. Eldest senior brother, they've gone too far. We can't give it to them. At this moment, the surrounding disciples of the Great Heaven Abode spoke up and bowed to the man. When the man heard this, he waved his hand and said, It's fine. It's just a small matter. There's no need to be so calculative. However, Long Dade glared at him and said coldly, You're not calculative, but have you asked me if I'm calculative? 10 maidservants and 100 stalks of imperial blood grass. Not less. Really not less? The man said softly. His body trembled slightly, and a terrifying aura erupted from him. As soon as his aura erupted, the surrounding void cracked. A terrifying blood qi shot out from his body and dispersed the clouds in the sky. I'm a magnanimous man. I'll let this matter rest. Long Dade was terrified when he saw the man's reaction. This was because the man's aura was comparable to a heavenly blight 3rd stage expert. No matter how strong Long Dade was, it would be difficult for him to defeat the man. Admitting defeat was a common occurrence for Long Dade. What was faced to the 3 great virtuous beings? Was it edible? Brother Long, you're too kind, the man said with a smile. Then, he sent someone to deliver a stalk of imperial blood grass and 3 beautiful maidservants. However, the man also said that the 3 maidservants were only allowed to take care of Huang Dade. They were not allowed to do anything overboard. Huang Dade nodded in agreement, but his eyes were shining brightly. By the way, have you seen my boss? Right at this moment, Huang Dade spoke as he looked around. Who? The man asked. Jiang Chun. I heard from the mansion master that he entered the Great Heaven Abode not long ago, Huang Dade said. As soon as he said that, the expressions of the people around changed slightly. Someone muttered, Jiang Chun is so weak, but his underling is so strong. How can the boss be weaker than the underling? How can he be the boss? Upon hearing these voices, the three great virtuous virtues' faces darkened slightly, and they all thought to themselves that they mustn't let Jiang Chun hear them. Their boss was very prideful. He lives there. The man pointed at Jiang Chun's residence and said, From now on, you're not allowed to cause any trouble in the great heaven abode. The three Dades nodded in agreement. Although they were strong, they did not dare to offend the eldest senior brother of the great heaven abode. Then, the three Dades rushed into Jiang Chun's residence. Chapter 525. At that moment, in Jiang Chun's room, the three virtuous beasts stood obediently in front of him, not even daring to breathe. Jiang Chun was puzzled. Since when were the three virtuous beasts so obedient? Boss, this is my vermilion bird blood essence. It's very nutritious. I'll give it to you. Bird Dade blinked his eyes, and there was a sparkling luster in his eyes. He looked very cute and pure. Boss, this is my 9 Netherworld Phoenix blood essence. It has the same effect as the vermilion bird blood essence. I'll give it to you, Huang Dade said, handing it over with both hands. Long Dade did not dare to fall behind. He forced out a strand of true dragon blood essence and said, This is my ancestral dragon blood essence. It's as effective as theirs. Jiang Chun took the 3 drops of essence blood back. He was dumbfounded. He said, What happened to you? The 3 virtuous beasts' expressions changed slightly, but they quickly returned to normal. Niao Dade and Huang Dade looked at Long Dade, hinting for him to speak. Cough, cough, it's like this. Long Dade scratched his head, coughed, and said, We got into some trouble outside. Troubles? Jiang Chun frowned. The trouble that the 3 virtuous beasts were talking about was not small, right? Otherwise, why would the 3 of them be so obedient in front of him? They even gave him blood essence. Aya, it's about Huang Dade. Long Dade said, You know that Huang Dade is a holy spirit. He's the only 9 Netherworld Phoenix in the world. And then? Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows. He had a bad feeling about this. So, in order to help Huang Dade reproduce, we helped him find a wife. Long Dade said weakly, his voice getting softer and softer. It was obvious that he was guilty. Niao Dade had already covered his eyes, as if it had nothing to do with him. The wife that we helped him find, cough, cough, her background is quite deep, Long Dade said, his body trembling. At this moment, Jiang Chun was also struck dumb. He asked involuntarily, Stronger? Do I need to use force? She fell in love with me at first sight. Huang Dade hurriedly explained and blushed. But I've done everything I could. Jiang Chun was speechless. He knew that Huang Dade was a scammer. This meant that Huang Dade slept with her, and then someone else is relying on Huang Dade. Let him stay in the flowing heaven world. Bird Dade said from the side, But we are creatures of the godless continent. How can we stay here? Are you heartless? You want to leave after sleeping with me? Jiang Chun was dumbfounded. Don't be fooled by how these 3 great virtues sounded dignified and justified. In fact, they were just heartless. Get to the point, Jiang Chun said in a low voice. He realized that this matter had blown up. That's the apple of the primordial alligator clan's eyes. Long Dade's eyes flashed with fear. He said, Everyone in the primordial alligator clan knows about this and is looking for Huang Dade. What the F*** CK? Primordial alligator clan? Jiang Chun's heart skipped a beat. The primordial alligator clan was one of the most powerful clans in the world. This race was either in battle or on the way to battle. This was a clan that was born to fight and was extremely powerful. However, the primordial alligator clan had disappeared from the godless continent. Who would have thought that there was such a clan in the flowing heaven world? Back then, the primordial alligator clan ruled the godless continent for tens of thousands of years. Jiang Chun mumbled. That was a very long time ago, but there were records in the ancient books. In that era, all living beings, including the Dragon Clan, Phoenix Clan, Qilin Clan, and other powerful clans, had to submit to the primordial alligator clan. Even the human race had to kneel down and worship the primordial alligator clan as their king. Now this clan was still around, and the three great virtues had offended this clan. Then this matter, it would not be easy to solve. I have a plan, Jiang Chun said seriously. Boss, hurry up and tell us. Huang Dade said anxiously. If the primordial alligator clan finds me, I will definitely be taken away. By then, I will have to stay in the flowing heaven world for the rest of my life. My plan is very simple and very practical. Jiang Chun said, I will dig a hole for you, and you can wait for your death. The moment he said this, the three great virtuous beings were dumbfounded, especially Huang Dade. After a moment, he asked weakly, Can I still be saved? No. Jiang Chun smiled bitterly. The primordial alligator clan is very powerful. Do you think I can defeat the primordial alligator clan with my current strength? Boss, you are the Tianqin Supreme Being. There is nothing you can't do. You must help me this time. Huang Dade was on the verge of tears. He tugged at Jiang Chen's sleeve, snot and tears running down his face. However, there was nothing Jiang Chen could do. Who asked Huang Dade to do something like this? He slept with the precious daughter of the primordial alligator clan's leader, and now he wants to leave? Not so easy. This is the flowing heaven world. I can't help you. Jiang Chen sighed. How about you go and discuss this with Lu Yang? Lu Yang was the governor of Great Heaven's Palace. Great Heaven's Palace was very powerful and should be able to stop the primordial alligator clan. However, whether Lu Yang was willing to help or not was another matter. By the way, at this moment, something occurred to Jiang Chun. He asked, You slept with her. She isn't pregnant, is she? Cough, cough. She is pregnant, Huang Dade said awkwardly. I thought she wouldn't be pregnant. You know that I am the only 9 Serenity Phoenix in this world. I have had so many wives, but none of them were pregnant. Who would have thought that the precious daughter of the primordial alligator clan would be pregnant on the first try? Jiang Chen couldn't help but roll his eyes at her. He said unhappily, Don't you always want to have children? Now that you are pregnant, isn't that a good thing? But I don't want to stay in the flowing heaven world, Huang Dade said hurriedly. Buzz! Suddenly, a buzzing sound came from the sky. Following that, an ancient aura filled the air, and a terrifying aura appeared. Sii, oh no! They found me so quickly? The 3 virtuous deities' faces changed drastically. Huang Dade clung on to Jiang Chun, refusing to let go no matter what. Jiang Chen's body was also trembling slightly. He looked up at the ceiling of the room. The sun and the moon were shining in his eyes. He saw a white-haired old man standing in the sky, a primordial alligator clan's 5th decay. Jiang Chen said softly and patted Huang Dade's shoulder. You, take care of yourself. Chapter 526. What did the 5 decay of a heavenly being in the flowing heaven boundary mean? It meant the strongest combat power. Such a person would be one of the strongest in the entire godless continent. Moreover, this was a primordial divine crocodile. Although Jiang Chen said that he did not want to help Huang Dade, he was still trying to come up with a solution. However, what could Jiang Chen do against a primordial divine crocodile that was at the 5 decay of a heavenly being? Even on the godless continent, Jiang Chen could not defeat this primordial divine crocodile with his forbidden technique. Huang Dade, follow me back to the clan. When the primordial divine crocodile opened his eyes, they shone like 2 suns. He stood in the air like a mountain, suffocating everyone. Those who were weaker had already fainted. They could not withstand the primordial divine crocodile's aura. I don't think it's appropriate for you to come to the great heaven sanctum to ask for him. At this moment, Lu Yang arrived. His expression was grave as he stared at the primordial divine crocodile cautiously. Behind him were a few elites from the great heaven sanctum. All of them were at the 5 decay of a heavenly being. Even so, Lu Yang did not dare to let his guard down. Lu Yang, I'm only here for the 9 Serenity Phoenix, the primordial divine crocodile said. Find him and bring him away. However, Lu Yang could not agree to this. After all, Huang Dade was here to help the great heaven sanctum participate in the three-altar banquet. You can come and bring him away after the banquet is over, Lu Yang said. He's currently an honored guest of the great heaven sanctum. There's no room for discussion. The primordial divine crocodile's face darkened. Since I'm here today, I have to bring him away. He's now part of the great heaven sanctum, Lu Yang said. If you bring him away in front of me, how will I face the great heaven sanctum? How will I face the great heaven sanctum? Face? The primordial divine crocodile raised his eyebrows. Then a terrifying aura exploded from his body. He said coldly, "Who dares to face the primordial divine crocodile clan? How dare you? This is the great heaven sanctum, not the primordial divine crocodile clan." The elites behind Lu Yang's crocodile was divine crocodile's crocodile. Even Lu Yang could only glare angrily at the primordial alligator god, not daring to make a move. "Boss, you have to help me." Huang Dade was completely flustered. If he was taken away, he would have to stay in the celestial flow realm for the rest of his life. "How can I help?" Jiang Qin's face darkened. "Even if I use a forbidden technique, I'm still no match for him." "Boss, can you bear to see me being taken away by him? Do you really want me to stay in the flowing heaven world for the rest of my life?" Huang Dade was on the verge of tears. He grabbed onto Jiang Qin's shoulders and refused to let go. Bird Dade and Dragon Dade tried to persuade him, hoping that Jiang Qin could think of a solution. However, there was nothing Jiang Qin could do at this moment. "Huang Dade, come back with me." At this moment, the roof of Jiang Qin's house was lifted. Then, one of the primordial alligator god's hands landed on Huang Dade, as if he was carrying a chicken. Jiang Qin stood where he was and smiled bitterly. His face was full of helplessness. "Old crocodile, let go of my brother." Dragon Dade roared and transformed into his true form. A 1,000-mile-long dragon coiled in the sky. Bird Dade was enraged as well. He let out a long cry, and a vermilion bird that was covered in flames flew into the sky. However, the primordial alligator god was not afraid of Bird Dade and Dragon Dade. He was from the primordial alligator god tribe and was not afraid of the dragon tribe or the vermilion bird tribe. In fact, in a certain era, the dragon tribe and the vermilion bird tribe had to submit to the primordial alligator god tribe, an ancestral dragon and an ancestral vermilion bird. The primordial alligator god whispered with a smile, "I could take both of them with me." "Yeah, let go of my brother." Dragon Dade and Bird Dade roared, their voices shaking the entire place. However, the next moment, the primordial alligator god attacked and suppressed Dragon Dade and Bird Dade with a flick of his finger. Even their 1,000-mile-long bodies were suppressed to the size of a few meters. If you marry the primordial alligator god tribe, your offspring will definitely be powerful. They might even surpass the primordial alligator god tribe. The primordial alligator god seemed to be very excited. He even promised the three deities, "Don't worry, the primordial alligator god tribe will not hurt you. As long as you obediently come to the primordial alligator god tribe, you will be treated the best." However, the three deities' faces turned green, especially Huang Dade. He even felt like killing himself. "Senior, they are not from the celestial flowing world. Are you really going to force them to stay here?" Jiang Qin frowned and looked at the primordial alligator god. "The celestial flowing world's Tao is incomplete. If you force them to stay here, you will be harming them." The primordial alligator god was calm in the face of Jiang Qin's words. He did not even reply. This was because in his eyes, Jiang Qin was like an ant. How could the voice of an ant enter the ears of an azure dragon? Jiang Qin felt awkward. He coughed a few times and said, "Is there any room for negotiation?" "Kid, don't talk nonsense in front of me." The primordial alligator god finally spoke, but his tone was very unfriendly. He glanced at Jiang Qin and said disdainfully, "You are just an ant in my eyes. I still say the same thing. You can take them away after they finish participating in the three-altar banquet. Otherwise, the great heaven abode will not agree to this." Lu Yang said in a deep voice. As soon as he finished speaking, a white-haired old man suddenly appeared. He had a smile on his face and looked like a kind old man. Patriarch! The patriarch of the great heaven abode? At this moment, exclamations could be heard from all around. Some people even knelt down to salute the old man. When the primordial alligator god saw the white-haired old man, his expression changed slightly. When the old man walked up to the primordial alligator god, the primordial alligator god said slowly, "Lu Zhu, long time no see." "Long time no see," Lu Zhu said with a smile. "It has been tens of thousands of years, right? That little crocodile god of the past has now become a tycoon of a region." After saying that, Lu Zhu paused. He pointed at the sky and the ground and said, "This is the great heaven abode." "Lu Zhu, it's not that I don't want to give face to the great heaven abode, but the patriarch has ordered us to take Huang Date away today, no matter what," the primordial alligator god said. "Since your patriarch wants to take Huang Date away, I will give him face and take him away," Lu Zhu said softly. "However, if you want to take all three of them away, I'm afraid I can't agree to it." "Then I will take one of them away," the primordial alligator god said. When he looked at Lu Zhu, a hint of fear flashed in his eyes. This was because Lu Zhu's name was well known in the Skyflow boundary. He was known as one of the 5 strongest people in the Skyflow boundary. Chapter 5:27. After all, the Great Heaven Territory was one of the top forces in the celestial flowing boundary. Although the primordial divine crocodile clan was strong, there was no need for them to start a war with the Great Heaven Territory. Moreover, although Lu Zhu's words sounded tough, he was actually giving in. Otherwise, with Lu Zhu's temper, he would not have let the primordial divine crocodile take them away. The ancestral dragon and the vermilion bird will stay. Lu Zhu waved his hand, indicating that the primordial divine crocodile could leave. The primordial divine crocodile did not say anything. He stepped into the void with Huang Dade and disappeared. At this moment, Jiang Qin's face darkened. He stared at the place where Huang Dade had disappeared, and his heart sank. It was harder to get Huang Dade back from the primordial divine crocodile clan. If they were in the godless continent, Jiang Qin would have a way to get Huang Dade back. At the very least, he could use the forbidden arts and some spirit-slaying techniques. However, in the celestial flowing boundary, the forbidden arts could not be used. Most importantly, there were no heavenly beings in the celestial flowing boundary to back up Jiang Qin. "Lu Zhu, can you think of a way to get my brother back?" Jiang Qin asked. "Of course." Lu Zhu nodded. However, he shook his head and said, "Why should I help you? I will participate in the 3-altar banquet for the Great Heaven Territory. In return, you help me get Huang Dade back." "How about that?" Jiang Qin said. Lu Zhu shook his head again and said, "Since you are in the Great Heaven Territory, you must participate in the 3-altar banquet. This is non-negotiable." Jiang Qin's eyes narrowed. He could not help but feel a tinge of anger in his heart. Obviously, the Great Heaven Territory was forcing Jiang Qin to participate in the 3-altar banquet. Jiang Qin could not resist. "If I win, can you help me get Huang Dade back?" Jiang Qin asked. "Just as I thought." Lu Zhu nodded. "As long as you win, I will help you get Huang Dade back." Having said that, Lu Zhu chuckled. He shook his head at Jiang Qin and said, "However, your strength is not enough. The Great Heaven Abode's hopes are all on the glittering Marshall Tower. As for the few of you, you're just there to serve as a foil," Lu Zhu said. As soon as he said this, Jiang Qin chuckled and didn't want to say anything more. With his current cultivation and strength, he really wasn't a match for glittering Marshall Tower. However, Nian Changa sneered and said disdainfully, "What is the glittering Marshall Tower? So what if he was the holy son of the Marshall Pavilion? Who isn't a saint?" "Oh, you are?" The ancestor looked at the confident Nian Changa and curiously asked, "Where are you from?" "I'm Nian Changa, the holy son of Skirich Temple from Godless Continent." Nian Changa's expression turned serious. "Have you heard of Skirich Temple?" However, after he said that, Lu Zhu frowned and shook his head. "Never heard of it." Then, he turned to look at Lu Yang and the others. Lu Yang and the others shook their heads, indicating that they had never heard of the Heavenly Shrine. This made Nian Changa feel awkward. He secretly thought that the heavenly shrine's strength and foundation were not inferior to the martial pavilions. Currently, there was only the martial pavilion in this world, but not the heavenly shrine. Why don't I have a fight with him? Nian Changa raised his eyebrows. We'll know who's stronger and who's weaker during the three-altar banquet. Lu Zhu said, in short, if you can win for the great heaven abode, I'll personally help you get Huang Dade back. Moreover, I can protect you until you leave the flowing sky boundary. Of course, Lu Zhu didn't say that if they wanted his protection, they would have to bring him out of the flowing sky boundary. However, this was a story for another time. After all, even if they won the three-altar banquet, they might not be able to make it to the top 10 and reach the end of the bloody road. After that, Lu Zhu and the others left, while Jiang Chun and the others went to Nian Changa's room. Boss, you have to help Huang Dade. Although he's usually unreliable, especially perverted, he's a good bird. Long Dade tugged at Jiang Chen's sleeve and blinked his seemingly innocent eyes. If he stays in the flowing sky boundary, as his big brother, I can't just stand by and watch. At most, I'll stay in the flowing sky boundary with him. Yes, if Huang Dade doesn't leave, I won't leave either, Bird Dade said hurriedly. When Jiang Chun heard that, his face darkened. He glared at the dragon and bird and said, if you didn't cause trouble, would Huang Dade have been taken away by the primordial divine crocodile? Who would have thought that this would happen? Long Dade quibbled. Moreover, we didn't bully him. You didn't bully him? The daughter of the chieftain of the ancient divine crocodile clan is pregnant with Huang Dade's child, but he wants to leave. You call that not bullying? Jiang Chun rolled his eyes. He thought to himself that Huang Dade was really heartless. Boss, as long as you win the three-altar banquet, Lu Zhu can help us get Huang Dade back, Bird Dade said. However, just as he said that, Nian Changa curled her lips and said, who do you think is more powerful, Lu Zhu or the primordial divine crocodile clan's patriarch? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present instantly fell silent. Under normal circumstances, the human race would definitely be inferior to the primordial divine crocodile clan at the same cultivation level. This was the advantage of the race, and it was difficult to overcome it. Even if we win, Lu Zhu might not be able to get Huang Dade back, Nian Changa said in a low voice. Then what should we do? Jiang Chun frowned. Was this over? Perhaps after you get back your own things, there will be a glimmer of hope, Nian Changa said. Get back the corpse of your third life and merge with it. That will have to wait until I break through to the divine realm, Jiang Chun said. Moreover, we are about to participate in the three-altar banquet. How can I have the time to get back the corpse of my third life? So, the plan now is to participate in the three-altar banquet first, Nian Changa said, a trace of fierceness flashing in her eyes. Nian Changa thought to himself, at worst, I'll break this bloody path. One had to know that Nian Changa's methods were heaven-defying. In fact, he could freely enter and exit the bloody path. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to help Zaid Song escape. Boss, when we came here, we heard a piece of news. At this moment, Long Dade's expression was strange as he muttered, there's a little Taoist who seems to have stolen a corpse from the burial plains. When these words came out, Jiang Chun was stunned for a moment, and Nian Changa jumped up. A corpse was stolen from the burial plains? What other corpse could there be under the burial plains? Other than the corpse of Jiang Chen's third life. What else could there be? The F***CK stole the corpse of my third life. After a few breaths, Jiang Chun reacted and immediately cursed. Which wicked bastard did it? This, hurry up and find it. Nian Changa was also anxious. That was the important thing that Jiang Chun wanted to return. It must not be lost. I heard that it's a little Taoist who seems to be from an ancient sect. I think it's called Stealing Heaven's Sect. Long Dade said. Chapter 528. Thieving Heaven's Sect? What? That sect is still around? Jiang Chun and Nian Changa exclaimed in shock. Their faces fell. That was because Thieving Heaven's Sect was a group of tomb robbers. Thieving Heaven sect was once glorious, but they had robbed too many tombs. They even robbed the tombs of other top sects' ancestors. In the end, those top sects could not bear it anymore and joined forces to destroy Thieving Heaven sect. Now, Thieving Heaven sect had reappeared, and this time, they had stolen the body of Jiang Qin's third reincarnation. It's hard to get back the things that were stolen by Thieving Heaven sect. Nian Changa smiled bitterly and patted Jiang Qin's shoulder, comforting him. My condolences. What the F***? Jiang Qin could not help but curse. That bastard was so wicked that he even stole the body of his third reincarnation. What was the use of stealing the body? Hurry up and find that bastard, Jiang Qin said in a deep voice. The body of his third reincarnation was the key to his recovery of his memories. It was like a key. Without the body of his third reincarnation, Jiang Qin would not be able to recover his memories for the rest of his life. But now, in the vast sea of people in the flowing heaven boundary, where could he find that bastard? As long as he's still in the flowing heaven boundary, we can find him, Nian Changa said. I'm afraid we can't find him, Jiang Qin sighed. Thieving Heaven sect had provoked public anger and was destroyed. Now that they had reappeared, they would definitely keep a low profile. In this way, it would be very difficult to find that bastard of Thieving Heaven sect. They might not even be able to find him in their lifetime. Let's ask Great Heaven sect for help. We will help Great Heaven sect participate in the 3 altar banquet, and they will help us find someone. This is not too much to ask. Great Heaven sect should agree. Go and discuss with Lu Yang. Jiang Qin was not in a good mood. After saying this, he sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate. The opening of the 3 altar banquet was getting closer and closer. Jiang Qin had to seize the time to increase his cultivation. It would be best if he could enter the divine realm before the opening of the 3 altar banquet. Otherwise, Jiang Qin would be in danger. One had to know that the battles at the 3 altar banquet were all battles of life and death. In a battle between 2 people, only one could survive. I say, if you break through, what will happen to the heavenly tribulation? Nian Changa asked. Let him be. Jiang Qin sighed. Having accumulated too many heavenly tribulations, Jiang Qin no longer had any confidence. At that time, if he really died under the heavenly tribulation, that would be a little funny. The dignified God King Tian Qin was struck to death by the heavenly tribulation. This one day later, when Jiang Qin was cultivating, the door to his room was pushed open. Then, glittering Jewel Marshall Tower walked in with an unpleasant expression on his face. Jiang Qin opened his eyes. His pupils constricted as he asked, Is something the matter? I have something to discuss with you, Linlang Marshall Tower said in a low voice. If you don't want to die, join hands with me. What do you mean? Jiang Qin frowned, puzzled. How could Linlang Wu not know about his relationship with the Marshall Pavilion? They were mortal enemies. Since they were mortal enemies, why would Linlang Wu Tua dare to join hands with him? Now, if not for the great heaven abode suppressing him, Jiang Qin would have long taken action. 9 Clouds Heaven Saint and Upper and Lower Universes Saints will both participate in the 3 altar banquet. Linlang Wu Tua said in a low voice, You should know that the battles at the 3 altar banquet are all life and death battles. So what? Jiang Qin raised his brows. Without experiencing life and death, how can there be glory? There are also many top prodigies participating in the 3 altar banquet, Linlang Wu Tua said. And the first battle of the 3 altar banquet is a free-for-all. Oh, a free-for-all? Jiang Qin said softly. If it was a free-for-all, it would be a little troublesome. At that time, with a group of top prodigies fighting together, with Jiang Qin's cultivation and identity, it would be very easy to target him. However, what did this have to do with Linlang Wu Tua? As the Marshall Pavilion Saint, his identity was extraordinary. People like the Dark Saint and the rest definitely would not make a move against him. Then, what did Linlang Wu Tua have to worry about? Was there a need to join forces with Jiang Qin? The Marshall Pavilion's sworn enemy, the Mu Palace's young master, has also appeared, Linlang Wu Tua said. And I heard, The descendants of the 18 families will also participate in the three-altar banquet this time. The descendants of the 18 families? Jiang Chen was stunned and somewhat in disbelief. One had to know that the 18 families guarded the bloody path. They would not interfere with anything on the bloody path, let alone participate in the three-altar banquet. But now, what was going on with the 18 families? Why was it a little different from before? Do you believe that the 18 families want to use this opportunity to kill us outsiders? Linlang Wu Tua said in a low voice. They are not the people guarding the bloody path, but the great sinners imprisoned in the bloody path. How do you know about this? Jiang Chen asked as he stared at Linlang Wu Tua. A wisp of divine consciousness quietly covered Linlang Wu Tuo's body. At that moment, as long as Linlang Wu Tua was lying, Jiang Chen would be able to sense it. Lu Zhu said so. Linlang Wu Tua said, back then, the flowing heaven world was destroyed, and a large number of gods fell. The main reason was the invasion of the other realm. But in the process of the other realm's invasion, a group of people from the flowing heaven world surrendered to the other realm. Linlang Wu Tua continued. As for the descendants of those who defected, they have been imprisoned in the celestial flow domain for generations. Their descendants are the 18 families today? Jiang Chen asked, but he already had an answer in his heart. But so, what if the 18 families were great sinners? The bloody path had been opened before, but the 18 families had never done anything to the trial takers. What was going on now? Were the 18 families planning to make a move? Why was this so? Could it be that after killing the outsiders, the people from the 18 families would be able to leave the bloody path? Moreover, the people who came in for the trial did not have high cultivation. If the 18 families really wanted to kill the trial takers, they could send out heaven realm powerhouses. One palm could wipe out a large group of people. Why did they have to go through so much trouble? What else did the Lu Zhu say? Jiang Chen asked. He didn't say anything else. I only know that the three-altar feast this time is a death trap for us trial takers. Linlang Wu Tua said in a low voice, if we want to live, we have to work together. Otherwise, we'll definitely be defeated one by one and die in the three-altar feast. Work together? Forget it. Jiang Chen frowned and stared at Linlang Wu Tua, saying, I'm not used to working with enemies, let alone mortal enemies. After saying that, Jiang Chen shrugged indifferently and said, I've already died a few times. What's the harm in dying again? Anyway, I don't mind. Hearing that, Linlang Wu Tuo's expression turned serious. Killing intent appeared in his eyes as he stared at Jiang Chen, saying, You can only live if you work with me. Even if I don't join hands with you, I can still survive. Jiang Chen said mockingly, But you, if no one works with you, I'm afraid you won't be able to live, right? Chapter 5:29. The battles at the three-altar feast were all battles of life and death. Although Jiang Chen was weaker, he wasn't afraid. After all, he was about to break through to the immortal state. With Jiang Chen's battle prowess as a great sage, he could compete with an immortal state prodigy. However, it was difficult to gain an advantage and there was a little risk. Moreover, teaming up with the glittering martial tower was like asking a tiger for its skin. No matter how stupid Jiang Chen was, he wouldn't team up with the glittering martial tower. Moreover, Jiang Chen had Nian Chang'e, Long Dade, and Bird Day by his side. Why would he team up with the glittering martial tower? On the other hand, the glittering martial tower was alone in the great heaven sanctum. If Jiang Chen and the others didn't team up with him, the glittering martial tower would have no one to team up with. When the three-altar feast started, the glittering martial tower would be participating alone. At that time, the glittering martial tower would have a slim chance of survival. You will regret this. The glittering martial tower glared at Jiang Chen, suppressed the killing intent in his heart, and turned to leave. Jiang Chen didn't mind and continued to cultivate. Half a day later, Nian Chang'e came to Jiang Chen and said, The glittering martial tower ran away. The great heaven sanctum sent a large number of experts to chase after him, but there was no result. Oh, ran away? Jiang Chen was stunned. The holy prince of the martial pavilion, the son of the glittering martial tower, actually ran away? It seemed that the glittering martial tower really didn't dare to participate in the three-altar feast. Someone saw him running in the direction of the Yin village. He might have gone to join them, Nian Chang'e said. Upon hearing this, Jiang Chen couldn't help but be taken aback. He said, "You joined the Great Heaven Territory's enemy? Will the Great Heaven Sanctum let him go?" "Definitely not," Nian Chang'e said, "but if he helps Yin Jiazhuang win the championship, Yin Jiazhuang will protect him." "Huh? When?" Jiang Chun pursed his lips. Although he had never fought with Linlang Wuta before, Jiang Chen knew how strong Linlang Wuta was based on his aura. That guy was probably like what Nian Chang'e said. He relied on his father to become the holy son of the martial pavilion. At least in Jiang Chen's opinion, the glittering martial tower was not very strong. The Yin family village has two saints from the Heaven and Earth sect. Nian Chang'e frowned. If he joins forces with the two saints of Heaven and Earth sect, it's not impossible for him to win. Moreover, I've never fought glittering martial before. It's hard to say whether he's strong or weak. Jiang Chen nodded slightly. Although he looked down on glittering jewel martial tower, he couldn't underestimate him. What if that brat was pretending to be weak? Don't worry about him. The Three Jars banquet this time might be a death trap. Jiang Chen sighed. Then, Jiang Chen's expression turned strange again. He asked, "Did you find that bastard from the Heaven Pilfering sect?" "I found him." Nian Chang'e's expression was also strange. He pointed outside and said, "He's in the Great Heaven Territory." "What? Where?" Jiang Chen immediately stood up, his face dark. He was so angry that he was about to explode. "How dare you steal the body of my third life? Are you King tired of living? He'll represent the Great Heaven Territory in the Three Jars banquet with us." Nian Chang'e said, "Now that we're all on the same side, the Great Heaven Territory will not allow us to do anything to him." "Then what about my third life's body?" Jiang Chen's face darkened. He ground his teeth, wishing he could kill that bastard. "We'll talk about it after the Three Jars banquet is over," Nian Chang'e said. "As long as that bastard is still around, there's no need to worry about not being able to make him hand over his body. I've heard a lot about you, Divine King Tianshun. Today, I have the opportunity to visit you." At this moment, a young Taoist came to the front of the house. He was fair and chubby. He was not tall and was one head shorter than Jiang Chun. This young Taoist looked quite honest and naive. But in fact, this young Taoist was the disciple of the Heaven Pilfering sect, the bastard who stole the body of Jiang Chen's third life. "Is that him?" At this moment, Jiang Chen was grinding his teeth. His words were almost squeezed out through the gaps between his teeth. This was because Jiang Chen was too angry. "It's him. Don't do anything to him." Nian Chang'e hurriedly stopped Jiang Chen and reminded him, "He's now on the same side as us." The reincarnation of Divine King Tian Chun is indeed extraordinary in appearance and bearing. At this moment, the young Taoist walked in and bragged to Jiang Chun. After he spoke, before Jiang Chun could speak, the young Taoist squinted his eyes and put on a thievish look. He even approached Jiang Chun and whispered in his ear, "Reincarnation of the Divine King, I got something good recently. Are you interested in collecting it?" "What is it?" Jiang Chen's expression was ugly. Looking at the young Taoist in front of him, he wanted nothing more than to slap him. Divine King Tian Chen's body. The young Taoist raised his eyebrows and said, "This is good stuff. If you can fuse with this body, you can obtain a portion of Divine King Tian Chen's cultivation and inheritance." At this moment, Jiang Chen glanced at Nian Chang'e. Both of them were speechless. "Damn it. Don't you know that Divine King Tianshun is my third life? You stole my third life's body, and now you're showing off in front of me? Damn it, really?" Jiang Chun gritted his teeth. His aura erupted, and the brilliance of the sun and moon floated in his eyes. Jiang Chun could not hold it in any longer. "However, this body is very difficult to fuse with. I've tried. There's a special imprint on the body. It seems like something needs to be opened." The young Taoist continued. He did not see Jiang Chen's murderous look at all. I say, can you let me see that body? Jiang Chun suppressed the anger in his heart and asked through gritted teeth. That thing can't be carried around. I placed it in a very safe place. The young Taoist said, you are the reincarnation of divine King Tian Chun, so you must know a lot of things. When the 3 jars feast is over, I'll bring you to take a look. You might have a way to open the imprint on the body. I have a way to open it? Can't I do anything about my own body? Jiang Chun roared in his heart, but he still suppressed his anger and said with a smile, all right. That's right, since you reincarnated, then your previous life's physical body. The little Taoist asked with a smile, did your physical body stay in the 9 heavens divine realm, or did it land on the godless continent? At this moment, Jiang Chun and Yin Chang'e were completely dumbfounded. What's wrong with you? You stole this king's 3rd life's body, and now you're hitting this king's previous life's corpse? I say, aren't you going too far? You, what kind of look is that? Don't misunderstand, I'm just asking casually. The young Taoist looked at Jiang Chun's eyes that were about to spit fire. Only then did he react and said weakly, I don't have any hobbies, I just like to collect things. You like to collect corpses? Jiang Chun said coldly. This hobby is not bad. I'm afraid that I won't be able to find a grandson like you among millions of people. You are a genius. Of course. Which disciple of my stealing heaven sect isn't a 1 in a million genius? The young Taoist said with a proud face. He really thought that Jiang Chun was praising him. Chapter 530. The little Taoist was immensely pleased with himself and was very satisfied with his love. But to Jiang Chun, this little Taoist was simply courting death. If not for the fact that they were in the great heaven territory, with Jiang Chun's temper, he would have already attacked. Even if he didn't kill this little Taoist, he would still beat him until his skin and flesh split open. You might not know, but after I was born, I collected more than a dozen corpses. Those without corpses all had great backgrounds when they were alive. The little Taoist said proudly, not to mention the heaven origin divine king's corpse. I still have 2 corpses of other divine kings. When these words came out, Jiang Chun only felt a chill and didn't care much. After all, what Jiang Chun cared about was the physical body of his 3rd life. But when Yin Chang'e heard this, her expression couldn't help but become strange. She muttered and asked, there are 2 more corpses of divine kings? Which 2? You might not believe it. The little Taoist raised his eyebrows, stuck out his little belly, and said, one is the corpse of the heaven origin divine king buried under the North Ice Snow Mountain. The other is, however, before the little Taoist finished speaking, Yin Chang'e's expression suddenly changed. She grabbed the little Taoist's shoulder and asked with a serious look, the corpse of the heaven origin divine king? Of course. The little Taoist said, you don't believe it? It's not that I don't believe it, but I don't dare to believe it. Yin Chang'e covered her face, poked Jiang Chun's shoulder, and said telepathically, the heaven origin divine king. Your 4th life? Ah. Jiang Chun was stunned. After all, he had lost the memories of his previous lives. How could Jiang Chun know what his 4th life was? However, after a few breaths, Jiang Chun reacted and immediately went berserk. His hair danced wildly, the brilliance of the sun and moon flickered in his eyes, and his aura skyrocketed. Beside him, runes appeared and flickered, and there were wind, rain, thunder, and lightning floating around him. Grandson, you and I are fated to meet, Jiang Chun said through gritted teeth. His eyes were spitting fire as he raised his palm and was about to land it on the young Taoist. The little Taoist was dumbfounded. They were talking nicely, so why did they suddenly want to make a move? What's going on? Calm down. Yin Chang'e held down Jiang Chun and patted Jiang Chun's chest, comforting him. Calm down, don't worry, calm down. What the F*** CK? Do you think I can hold on? Jiang Chun roared. He felt like he was about to explode. The fury in his heart was about to burst out. Where's the corpse of the profound sky divine king? At this moment, Yin Chang'e forcibly held down Jiang Chun and asked the little Taoist. It's still here. The little Taoist said, don't mention it. The profound sky divine king also has that strange imprint on his body. I can't open it. Otherwise, I would have merged with the profound sky supreme being's body long ago. As soon as he said this, Jiang Chun violently coughed a few times and then spat out a mouthful of blood. Grandson, it's fine if you King stole one of my bodies, but you even stole two of them? It's fine if it's two, but you King plan to fuse with them? Jiang Chun roared in his heart, but he was firmly pressed down by Nian Chang'e, unable to move. Fortunately, Nian Chang'e heaved a sigh of relief, deeply afraid that something would happen to Jiang Chun's body in his previous life. At that time, Jiang Chun would not be able to return. The two bodies of the profound sky divine king and the profound sky divine king are nothing. You don't know that I even stole a corpse from an ancient ruin. The little Taoist said with a face full of pride. According to my guess and understanding, that corpse is most likely. Without waiting for the little Taoist to finish speaking, Jiang Chen's face was deathly pale as he sent a voice transmission to Nian Chang'e. How many bodies do I still have buried in this world? A total of 8 bodies, Nian Chang'e said, breaking out in a cold sweat for Jiang Chun in his heart. They were all guessing that the third body that the little Taoist had stolen couldn't also be Jiang Chen's, right? If that was the case, then if Jiang Chun went berserk, even Nian Chang'e wouldn't be able to stop him. What do you two mean? Let me finish. The little Taoist was very dissatisfied. As he spoke, he was continuously interrupted and felt very uncomfortable in his heart. Then he coughed a few times, his face full of arrogance, and said, that body's corpse is very likely the corpse of the Chang and clan's ancestor. What? At this moment, Jiang Chun was stunned, while Nian Chang'e cried out in surprise. The corpse of the Chang and clan's ancestor? Jiang Chun blinked his eyes, looked at Nian Chang'e, and asked, your current body is not the original one? Don't mention it. The original one was too badly injured. I nurtured him in a ruin. Nian Chang'e transmitted his voice. After saying that, Nian Chang'e's expression became more and more strange. He stared at the little Taoist and asked, then where did you find that corpse? Where else can it be? Of course it's the ancient Chang and city. The little Taoist said, that place is very dangerous. There are great killing arrays everywhere. I also spent 3 years to get in. When Nian Chang'e heard this, his face turned pale and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His whole body was trembling. His face turned from pale to red, the veins on his forehead bulged, and the aura on his body soared. When Jiang Chun saw Nian Chang'e like this, he knew that the third body that the little Taoist had stolen was Nian Chang'e's. Steady. Don't worry. Steady. This time, it was Jiang Chen's turn to hurriedly hug Nian Chang'e, patting his chest to comfort him. Don't stop me. I'm going to kill this grandson. Nian Chang'e was furious. He didn't expect his body to be gone just like that. The little Taoist also reacted. He looked at Nian Chang'e with a strange expression and asked, does it have anything to do with you? What do you think? Nian Chang'e was truly angry. He stared at the little fatty and asked, where is the corpse now? Is there any damage? It's fine. I kept it in a secret place. The little Taoist said, I've thought about it. When the time comes, if the bodies of the 2 divine kings, Tian Yuan and Tian Xian, can't be fused, then I'll fuse with the body in Chang'an. How dare you? I'll slap you to death. Nian Chang'e exploded. After shaking off Jiang Chun, the 36 lotuses appeared, and the mysterious light fluctuated. As his palm fell, it was as if the sky was falling. It was even more like a universe that wanted to suppress the little Taoist. What are you doing? I'm sharing my secret with you. How can you attack me? The little Taoist cried out. His body suddenly stopped, and he rushed into the ground. This was the secret technique of the Stealing Heaven sect, Heaven Ascension Escape. This secret technique could not only allow one to escape into the ground, but it could also allow one to ascend into the sky. It was precisely because of this secret technique that the Stealing Heaven sect could easily enter and exit the various secret realms, ruins, and even forbidden grounds. Secret? That's my body. Nian Chang'e could no longer hold it in. With a furious roar, the 36 lotuses spread out and sealed off this space. Chapter 531. 36 lotuses were ever-changing, and their power was unpredictable. At this moment, the 36 lotuses spread out like a boundary, sealing off this space. The little Taoist was forced to reveal himself. He stared at Nyen Changa in horror and exclaimed, "That's your body? You're Chang'an? Bastard, hand over my body!" Nyen Changa roared, his eyes spitting fire. Jiang Qin's mouth twitched. He glanced at Nyen Changa and thought to himself, "You're not good enough." Just now, he was persuading Jiang Qin not to be anxious and calm down. Now he was the one who went berserk. "You can't do anything to me," the little Taoist muttered. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and he said mockingly, "Can I give back what I took away? There's no such thing in this world." "Aren't you going to give it back?" Nyen Changa roared. His palm was like a mountain tablet, exuding a pitch-black luster, and it even crushed a part of the void. However, the little Taoist was not afraid. He took a step forward, and his body soared up like a Koin Peng, breaking through the seal of the 36 lotuses. Ascending heaven escape? Nyen Changa's face turned ugly. The spiritual power in his body turned into chains and flew toward the little Taoist. The little Taoist did not resist. After rushing out of the seal of the 36 lotuses, he screamed, "Mansion Master! He wants to kill me!" Jiang Qin and the others were here to help the Great Heaven Mansion participate in the 3-altar banquet. Naturally, the Great Heaven Mansion would not let any accidents happen to them. After the little Taoist screamed, Lu Yang immediately appeared. With a wave of his hand, he shook the 36 lotuses back into Nyen Changa's body and neutralized Nyen Changa's attack. Then, Lu Yang's face turned gloomy. He stared at Nyen Changa and scolded angrily. "The 3-altar banquet is about to start, and you still have the mood to fight among yourselves? If you lose in the 3-altar banquet, it's equivalent to death." Hearing this, Nyen Changa did not speak. Instead, he stared at the little Taoist with cold eyes. Seeing this, the little Taoist trembled and smiled embarrassedly. He then looked at Lu Yang and said, "It's okay. We're just playing around." "Stop it," Lu Yang said in a deep voice. After saying that, Lu Yang glared at Nyen Changa and left. At this moment, the little Taoist smiled embarrassedly. He looked at Nyen Changa and said, "Don't worry, I won't reveal your identity." After he finished speaking, the little Taoist looked at Jiang Qin with a rather strange expression. "Looking at your complexion and emotions earlier, could it be that the corporeal bodies of the Heaven Origin Divine King and the Profound Sky Divine King?" The little Taoist muttered. It would have been better if he hadn't said that. The moment he said it, Jiang Qin's face darkened. Nyen Changa lost one body, while Jiang Qin lost two. What do you think? At this moment, Jiang Qin narrowed his eyes and stared at the little Taoist. He asked in a deep voice, "Do you have anything to say?" When the little Taoist heard this, he couldn't help but be stunned on the spot. He was a little confused and even more shocked. One was the patriarch of the Chang and clan, and the other was him. "You are." The little Taoist's expression was tense as he stared at Jiang Qin. But before he could speak, Nyen Changa rebuked angrily, "Shut up." Only at this moment did the little Taoist react. He covered his mouth very exaggeratedly and shook his head vigorously. He was really scared, only because that person's name was a taboo, not to be mentioned, and that person was Jiang Qin's first life. Then, let's talk about the conditions now. How about it? After a few breaths, the little Taoist seemed to have calmed down. That harmless smile appeared on his face again. It was just that wisp of sly light flickered in his eyes, making people feel very uncomfortable and very disharmonious. As long as you hand over the corporeal body, everything is negotiable, Nyen Changa said in a deep voice. Back then, Nyen Changa broke free, but his corporeal body suffered tremendous injuries. Helpless, he stole the sky and swapped the sun, changing a corporeal body, and stored his original corporeal body in a ruin, using time to nurture it. Now, calculating that the injuries on that corporeal body were more or less healed. It was also time to take it back. But who could have thought that this thieving Taoist was actually a step ahead? One had to know, if Nian Chang'e could not take back his corporeal body, he would not be able to recover to his peak state. I haven't thought of the conditions yet. The little Taoist smiled mockingly and said, wait until I think it through, then I'll tell you guys. You, don't go too far, Zhang Chen said in a cold voice. At most, I don't want those few corporeal bodies. Oh, then you don't want the other few corporeal bodies either? The little Taoist raised his eyebrows and said slyly, the corporeal bodies of your previous 8 lives, too, are in my hands. The remaining corporeal body, which is your corporeal body as divine King Tianshun, is in the 9 heavens divine world. As for the other 5 corporeal bodies, as Jiang Chen listened, his expression became increasingly ugly. He stared at the little Taoist and said softly, why? The other 5 corporeal bodies are also with you? That's not it. The little Taoist shook his head. How can I have such great capabilities? It's just that I know where those 5 corporeal bodies are buried. So? Jiang Chen raised his eyebrows, killing intent appearing in his eyes. So, if you don't talk to me about a condition, do you believe that I won't steal your remaining 5 corporeal bodies? The little Taoist said. When these words came out, Jiang Chen immediately exploded. What the hell do you mean? Stealing 2 corporeal bodies was not enough, and you still want to steal the other 5 corporeal bodies? Are you trying to rob me of all my assets? Even Nian Chang'e, who was at the side, was speechless. She thought to herself that the people of the heaven-stealing sect really couldn't be offended. Robbing your tomb at the drop of a hat. Robbing your corpse. How about this, you guys promise not to kill me first? The little Taoist ignored the furious Jiang Chen and Nian Chang'e, frowned, and said, if I don't die at the 3 Jars feast, I will return Heaven Origin Divine King's body to you first. And then? Jiang Chen asked. When I leave the bloody path alive, I will return Heaven Profound Divine King and Chang An's corporeal bodies to you. The little Taoist said. Jiang Chen and Nian Chang'e could naturally accept this condition. But when the little Taoist raised another condition, Jiang Chen and Nian Chang'e's faces fell. After we leave, my heaven-stealing sect will truly come into being. At that time, I hope that the Heavenly Temple and the Chuanzun sect will support the heaven-stealing sect. Stand on the same side as my heaven-stealing sect, the little Taoist said. Without waiting for Jiang Chen and Nian Chang'e to speak, the little Taoist smiled and said, if you don't agree, don't even think about taking back a single one of your corporeal bodies. The heaven-stealing sect's reputation is so bad, just like a rat crossing the street. Nian Chang'e said coldly. How can my heavenly temple be in cahoots with the heaven-stealing sect? Walking together with the heaven-stealing sect, my Chuanzun sect's reputation, Jiang Chen thought. I'm afraid that my lifelong reputation will be ruined. However, their corporeal bodies were in the hands of the little Taoist, so they had no choice but to agree, especially Jiang Chen. It could be said that his 7 corporeal bodies were all in the hands of this bastard Taoist. Okay, I promise you. After thinking carefully, Jiang Chen could only agree. After all, the corporeal bodies of his previous lives were still important. But Nian Chang'e could not agree. After all, he was not in charge of the heavenly temple, but his mysterious and strange master. If his master did not agree, it was useless even if Nian Chang'e agreed. Chapter 532. Your conditions can only be decided after I leave the blood path and discuss with my master, Nian Chang'e said honestly. It's okay. I believe your master will agree. The little Taoist smiled. Just like that, the 3 of them reached an agreement, but Jiang Chen and Nian Chang'e were very unhappy. Their bodies were stolen, and now they still had to negotiate with others. It was too sullen. If you die at the 3 Jars banquet, or on the blood path, Jiang Chen frowned. If the little Taoist died, where could they find their bodies? So, from now on, you have to protect me, the little Taoist said jokingly. Then, he coughed and said seriously, Just call me Mu Yud. Mu Yud? You really have no King morals. Jiang Chun and Yin Changa's faces fell. The little Taoist's name and his behavior really matched each other. 3 virtuous beings, plus this Mu Yud. Jiang Chun had a strange expression and muttered, if these 4 guys meet together. Haha, the 3 virtuous beings were already a scourge. If this Mu Yud was added in the future, then these 4 people would be in big trouble. Jiang Chun had already decided that after he got his body back, he would definitely not let the 3 virtuous beings get along with Mu Yud. Otherwise, these 4 scourges would be too dangerous. Who knows when the sky would be pierced through? Let's go. A few days later, Lu Yang gathered Jiang Chun and the others. Then, the group flew into the sky and flew toward the location of the 3 Jars banquet. Along the way, no one spoke, and the atmosphere was a little tense. After all, the battles at the 3 Jars banquet were all battles of life and death. Even Jiang Chun was not 100% sure that he could survive. What's wrong with you? After half an hour, when the group arrived at an ancient city, Yin Changa found that Jiang Chen's expression was not right. I think I'm about to break through. Jiang Chen frowned. The aura in his body was chaotic, and his cultivation was constantly increasing. However, Jiang Chen suppressed it, because once he breaks through, all the accumulated God's trial will explode. Just think about it. When numerous heavenly tribulations were mixed together and descended, the scene and might would probably even strike a true God to death. Brother, let me know before you break through. I'll go somewhere else to hide, Yin Changa said. She was afraid that she would be involved in Jiang Chen's heavenly tribulation. Lu Yang also noticed that something was wrong with Jiang Chen's situation. However, he didn't know that Jiang Chun was suppressing his cultivation realm. He also didn't know what would happen after Jiang Chun broke through. He stared at Jiang Chun and said, adjust your condition. If you lose, you'll lose your life. I'm fine like this. Jiang Chun smiled bitterly. How would he dare to adjust his state of mind? One had to know that Jiang Chun was using almost all of his strength to suppress his cultivation. Otherwise, he would have broken through long ago. Boss, say if your heavenly tribulation falls here, Bird Dade said with a sly face, strike these bastards to death. Here? I'm afraid even the entire ancient city will be destroyed. Jiang Chun smiled bitterly. Jiang Chun had a feeling that when he broke through this time, the heavenly tribulation would definitely be terrifying. One had to know that this was the God realm's heavenly tribulation. What was the God realm? It was a realm that already had part of the power of a god. This realm had extraordinary abilities. The heavenly tribulation it attracted was like a god tribulation. Pay attention to the 3 altar banquet this time. Try to get first place, Lu Yang said. A cold light flashed in his eyes. He reminded, be careful of the people from the 18 families. Linlang Wu Ta told me. Jiang Chun said in a low voice. Haven't the local sects and forces of the flowing heaven world thought of dealing with the 18 families? Yes. Lu Yang nodded, but he was also helpless. The 18 families are very strong. Now that they are deeply rooted in the flowing heaven world, they are far from what we can fight against. If we really go to war with the 18 families, we will need to use the strongest foundation of all the sects and forces of the flowing heaven world. Lu Yang explained. However, the 18 families and the local sects and forces of the flowing heaven world probably don't have any conflicts. It's not worth it for us to deal with them. Then what if there is a conflict? Jiang Chen asked. One had to know that the 18 families had never interfered with the local affairs of the flowing heaven world. But today, the 18 families sent people to participate in the 3 altar banquet. According to Lu Yang, the 18 families were specially sent to deal with outsiders like Jiang Chun. But no one could be sure of the truth. Perhaps the 18 families had other motives. If there's a conflict, Lu Yang snorted. At most, we will release those seals. What seals? Jiang Chen asked. Hearing this, Lu Yang did not continue speaking. But Yin Changa secretly transmitted a voice. Of course, it's the seals that seal those who are truly guarding the bloody path. Back then, Nien Changa, Zaitsong, Yumuba, and the rest were all sealed here. Nien Changa escaped. Zaitsong was also rescued by Nien Changa. And now, Yumuba was still trapped in the immortal pit. And other than that, there were definitely others. If those people were to escape, it would not be a good thing for the 18 families. How many are still sealed? Jiangchen asked. Other than Yumuba, there are 2 more. Nien Changa said, I will tell you in detail in the future. Mansion Master Lu Yang, long time no see. At this moment, a group of people walked over from afar. The person leading them was the manor master of the Yin village, Yin Chai. Behind him were 5 youths. Jiang Chen did not recognize 3 of them, but he was very familiar with one of them. That person was Linlang Wu Tuo. The one in black is the saint of the lower universe. The one in white is the saint of the upper universe. I don't recognize the other 2, Nien Changa said. There are so many prodigies entering the bloody path. No one can recognize all of them. Muyuda said, but they should all be very strong. Then Muyuda's face turned serious, and he said confidently, so what if they're strong? Sometimes strength does not depend on strength. Oh? Then what does it depend on? Opportunity? Creation? Luck? Jiangchen was very curious. Hearing Muyuda's words, he thought to himself, this guy seems to have some connections. There seems to be a hidden meaning in his words. It depends on looks. Like me, I'm unparalleled in the world, and I have the looks of a generation. Muyuda touched his chubby cheeks and said, being strong is temporary. Being handsome is for life. Sorry to disturb you. Jiang Chen's face fell. He thought that he was overthinking. He thought that Muyuda's words really did have a hidden meaning. Who would have thought that it was a scam? Chapter 533. Yin Jiazhuang and Great Heaven Abode were sworn enemies. However, Yin Jiazhuang had always been suppressed by Great Heaven Abode. But now, Yin Jiazhuang had joined forces with several other sects to suppress Great Heaven Abode in the 3-altar banquet. The 3-altar banquet was very important to the sects in the Northwest region. The sect that won the 3-altar banquet would be able to obtain a large amount of cultivation resources. For example, spiritual stone veins, blessed grottos, and many other precious treasures. The Great Heaven Abode had always been the champion and controlled many cultivation resources. That was why they were able to sit firmly on the throne of the Northwest region. However, the 3-altar banquet this time was different from the past. This time, outsiders would represent the various sects in the competition. Moreover, there would be disciples from 18 clans participating as well. As such, it was uncertain whether Great Heaven Abode would be able to win the competition this time. Now that the sects in the Northwest region had joined forces with Yin Jiazhuang, if Great Heaven Abode failed to win the competition and lost many cultivation resources, they would no longer be able to stay in the Northwest region in the future. In fact, they might even be wiped out. Lu Yang, the 3-altar banquet this time, is different from the past. Is Great Heaven Abode still thinking of winning the competition? Yin Chai sneered. This time, if Great Heaven Abode fails to win the competition, you will have to hand over all the cultivation resources that you previously controlled. So what? Lu Yang said softly. Great Heaven Abode has a strong foundation. It doesn't matter if we lose all our cultivation resources. Yeah, I hope so, Yin Chai said coldly. The 3-altar banquet will be your burial ground. At this moment, glittering Martial Tower was glaring at Jiang Chun with undisguised killing intent. Beside him, the 2 saints from the upper and lower Qingquan sects did not say anything. They looked calm, as if this matter had nothing to do with them. As for the other 2 Sky Prides, they did not say anything either. They just stood there quietly. Glittering Martial Tower's son, I will teach you a lesson during the 3-altar banquet. Bird Dade stroked his long hair and said, I will let you know that the vermilion bird's flames can burn everything. I will drown you with my dragon phlegm. Long Dade did not want to fall behind either. He spat out a mouthful of thick phlegm, which flew to glittering Martial Tower's feet. You relied on your father to become the holy son of the Martial Pavilion. Nian Changa said contemptuously. If you meet me at the three-altar banquet, I'll suppress you with one palm. Stop arguing. What's the point of fighting and killing all day long? Why don't you admire my peerless beauty? Muyuda stroked his bangs and said, as a cultivator, you should be like me, pure of heart and few desires. After saying that, Muyuda raised his eyebrows and glanced at Linlang Wuta. He said disdainfully, you're not that strong, and you're not as handsome as me. You still have the face to dance here? You guys! Linlang Wutua was enraged. Being ridiculed by several people at the same time, his heart was burning with anger and his face was flushed red. Even the two saints of the upper and lower Qinquan realms were looking at the glittering martial tower suspiciously. They were also thinking that the glittering martial tower couldn't be that weak, right? If he was really weak, wouldn't he be a burden? You guys are really good at shooting your mouths off. Jiang Qin's face darkened. He felt that the people around him had been led astray ever since he had three great virtues by his side. Lin Qin, young master of the Lin family. Greetings, everyone. At this moment, a youth walked over from afar. He was alone, and there was no expert protecting him. However, there was no fear in his eyes or on his face. That was because he was from the Lin family of the 18 families. In the sky-flowing domain, no one dared to attack someone from the 18 families. Did the Lin family send you alone? Inchai asked. We're just here to join in the fun. One person is enough. Lin Qin smiled. However, when he looked at Jiang Chun and the others, the contempt in his eyes was very strong. Wang Kun of the Wang family. Greetings, everyone. After a few breaths, another youth walked over. He was also a disciple of the 18 families. He seemed to be very familiar with Lin Qin. After the two of them walked together, they walked forward. Then, Lu Yang and the others did not say much and walked towards the central square of the ancient city. Along the way, Jiang Qin saw many familiar faces. He even saw a youth shrouded in darkness. This is the dark holy sun. Nian Changa reminded, be careful. This person is very shrewd, and his methods are very sinister and despicable. Jiang Haoran, Lu Songyang, and Chen Lu Dao became demons because of him. Jiang Chen whispered, if those three demons were here, they would probably settle the score with the dark holy sun. There are a total of 5 sects that came to participate in the three-altar banquet. The Great Heaven Palace, the Yin family, the Bloodhand sect, the Chen family, and the Spiritual Snake clan. After arriving at the central square, Lu Yang introduced the sects that came to participate in the competition. Of course, the people from the 18 families were not included. Moreover, the 18 families only sent Lin Qin and Wang Kun this time. The other families did not send anyone. Jiang Qin was puzzled. Could it be that these two people were strong enough to kill all of them, who had come from the outside world? One had to know that the outsiders who dared to participate in the three-altar banquet were all peerless geniuses. Among them were the two holy sons of upper and lower universe, and the holy son of highest heaven. Just these 3 people alone were not people that ordinary people could deal with. The first round is a free-for-all. Every sect will send 5 people. Since only 2 of the 18 families came, the first round of the free-for-all will be empty. Lu Yang explained. As soon as he finished speaking, a huge arena rose in the central square. Then, the participants from the various sects went up the arena and prepared to start the free-for-all. Jiang Chun and his companions stood together. They all looked serious. They glanced around. Their holy awareness even covered the whole arena. Be careful. Don't be sneak-attacked, Nian Changa reminded. Speaking of which, we won't lose this mixed fight, will we? Jiang Chun had an odd look on his face. He glanced at the contestants in the ring and felt confident. Nian Changa was stunned when she heard that. But when she saw the participants sent by the other sects, she was instantly dumbfounded. Wakako, Xiaoqingyi, and Tianxue, Jiang Lu, and Wu Tong. Those 3 disguise themselves? I think it's Jiang Haoran, Lu Songyang, Chen Lu Dao. One had to know that the 5 sects sent a total of 25 people. Almost half of them were Jiang Chen's people. Then, What did Jiangchen have to worry about in this free-for-all? Boss! Boss! At this moment, Jiang Lu and the rest were standing in the distance, greeting Jiangchen. Everyone was dumbfounded when they heard the words boss being shouted out. What's going on? Why is a prodigy invited by the spiritual snake clan calling someone else boss? The leader of the spiritual snake clan was dumbfounded. How the hell were they going to fight this? The people of the Qin clan were also dumbfounded. They saw Wakako waving at Jiangchen and Xiao Qingyi nodding at Jiangchen. Cough, cough. Keep a low profile. Keep a low profile. Jiangchen coughed a few times, thinking that the 3 jars of feast were nothing. Wasn't this quite simple? Chapter 534. At this moment, the whole place was silent. The people from the Yin village were even more dumbfounded. No one had expected the 3 jars banquet to turn out like this. Are we still going to fight? How are we going to fight? After a while, the leaders of the Spirit Snake clan, the Yin village, and the Qin clan spoke one after another. They all agreed that they would not be able to win this battle. Except for a few people, the others were all Jiangchen's brothers and underlings. How are they going to win this battle? This person is extraordinary. Lu Yang stared at Jiangchen. He did not expect Jiangchen to be so capable. His cultivation was low, but the brothers around him were all exceedingly strong. Especially their strength and aura. They were peerless geniuses. At this moment, Lu Yang began to take Jiangchen seriously. Mansion Master Lu Yang, I'm afraid we have to change the rules of the 3 jars banquet, Inchai said. Inchai said. He looked at the leaders of the other sects and forces and said, What do you all think? The rules have to be changed. Otherwise, the 3 jars banquet cannot continue. The leader of the Spirit Snake clan said, It's like a joke. The first battle is unnecessary. Let's go straight to the second battle, the leader of the Qin clan said. The Yin village, the Spirit Snake clan, and the other factions did not have any objections. However, Lu Yang had objections. In the first battle, the Great Heaven Abode had an obvious advantage. It could even be said that they would win. Now, if the first battle was eliminated, the Great Heaven Abode would lose their biggest advantage. Everyone, you chose the participants yourselves, Lu Yang said. Now that something like this has happened, who can you blame? But this person has so many underlings. If we fight in the first battle, how are we going to win? The leader of the Qin clan said, The first battle must not be carried out. How are we going to calculate the losses of the Great Heaven Abode? Lu Yang said, The winner of the first battle of the 3 jars banquet could control a spiritual mine for 300 years. What did a spirit mine mean? It meant that there was an endless supply of spirit stones. Spirit stones were not only the currency of this world, but they were also treasures that could be used for cultivation. Now, if they didn't fight the first battle, wouldn't the Great Heaven Abode lose control of a spiritual mine for 300 years? If a fight breaks out, many of the Sky Prides we've found might die. The Qin clan's patriarch thought to himself, At worst, we can just give up on the first battle royale and concede defeat to preserve our strength. What's wrong with giving the Great Heaven Sanctum the right to control the spiritual mine for 300 years? Don't fight. I'd rather give up the spirit mine than lose too many participants. The Spirit Serpent clan's chief had the same thought. As for Inchai, his thoughts were more or less the same. After all, apart from the spirit ores, there were many other things that could be fought for. For example, medicinal gardens, heavenly treasures, and so on. Lu Yang, let's call off the first battle royale. Even if the Great Heaven Sanctum wins, the rights to control the mine for the next 300 years will be yours. In the end, the leaders of the major sects came to this conclusion after a discussion. Lu Yang had no objections to this. Then it was time for the individual battles. Every single individual battle was a battle of life and death. Every time a participant won a battle, their sect would get 1 point. In the end, the sect with the highest score would have priority in choosing cultivation resources. I say, why don't we just give up? Let's just concede defeat. It's useless for us to participate. We're all on the same side. Don't tell me we're going to fight our own people. At this moment, before the individual battles began, Wakako and the others had already chosen to withdraw from the competition. This made the sects they belonged to feel helpless. However, they could not force them. It should be noted that the 18 clans were now upholding justice for the outsiders. Now that the disciples of the 18 clans were here, the sects did not dare to do anything to Wakako and the others. After all, they still had to give face to the 18 clans. After a dozen breaths of time, all those who were related to Jiangchun had chosen to withdraw from the 3 altar banquet. In this way, the Bloody Hand sect had directly forfeited. The Spirit Serpent clan only had 1 participant left. The Qin clan had 2 participants left, and the Yin village had 5 participants left. It seemed like the 3 altar banquet was the battle between the Yin village and the Great Heaven's abode. I'm the only participant left. What's the point of fighting? The last participant from the Spirit Serpent clan also chose to withdraw from the competition. The Qin clan also withdrew from the competition. There was only 1 participant left. This person's face was covered with a veil. His aura was ethereal, as if he had returned to the primordial chaos. He was very mysterious and unpredictable. Everyone, there's still the 2 of us. At this moment, Lin Qin and Wang Kun spoke. They first bowed to the leaders of the various sections. Then, Wang Kun's expression turned serious as he said, "The 18 clans only have one goal in this 3 altar banquet. We want to seize control of Mount Duan." What? Mount Duan? Broken Sky Mountain contains countless cultivation resources. There's also a spirit mine and 3 herb gardens buried within it. Aren't the 18 clans a little too greedy? They only sent 2 people here. So what if they have a big appetite? The prerequisite is that they can win. Lu Yang and the rest had ugly expressions. They did not expect the 18 clans to have such a clear goal. Their appetite was even bigger. One had to know that the 3 altar banquet was a competition for cultivation resources. In the end, they were all fighting for Mount Duan. There's no need to say anything else. Let's begin. The leader of the Spirit Serpent clan said impatiently. After all, the Spirit Serpent clan had given up. They would not get any cultivation resources from the 3 altar banquet. The leader of the Bloody Hand clan looked even more gloomy. Killing intent surged from his body, as if he was really angry. Then let's begin. Yin Chai raised his eyebrows. With a wave of his hand, 13 clouds appeared in the air. Now, there were only 13 participants left in the individual battle. Therefore, there were only 13 clouds. Behind the clouds were numbers. Those who drew 1 would fight with those who drew 13. Those who drew 2 would fight with those who drew 12, and so on. If 1 drew 7, they would get a bye and would get 1 point. Begin drawing lots, Yin Chai said. As soon as he said that, Jiang Chen's eyes flashed with the brilliance of the sun and moon. He had already seen the numbers behind the clouds. The 6th cloud. Without waiting for the others to speak, Jiang Chen took the lead. As soon as he said that, the 6th cloud dissipated. A huge 7 appeared in front of everyone. Bye. This is pure luck. Why do I see yin and yang energy floating in his eyes? Did he see through the clouds? Chapter 5:35. Everyone was dumbfounded. Of course, there were some who saw through the clues. But so what? Drawing lots was a matter of luck, but also depended on one's ability. If Jiang Chun had the ability to see through the concealment of the clouds, why didn't he draw number 7? You're just a great sage. You'll get a bye this time. Let's see how you'll survive next time. The glittering jewel Marshal Tower said coldly, his eyes full of contempt. The saint below Qin Kuan shook his head and glanced at the glittering Marshal Tower. He didn't seem to think highly of it. The holy prince of the continent of the 9 clouds frowned and said, "You talk too much. I'm afraid you won't survive the first round." 10 breaths later, when everyone had finished drawing their lots, Nian Chang'e directly opened her mouth and stared at Lin Lang Wu Tua, who was holding lot number 1. She said disdainfully, "What ability does a person who relied on his father have?" Nian Chang'e. "Who do you think you are?" Lin Lang Wu Tua raised his eyebrows. I am the holy son of the martial pavilion, and my martial pavilion is the strongest faction on the godless continent. The strongest force? Nien Changa said mockingly. Let's not talk about the sect I'm in first. Why don't you ask the people around you which sect they're in is weaker than the martial pavilion? The upper and lower Chinquan sect and the Nine Clouds sect. Can the martial pavilion compete with them? Bird Dade said, I haven't been in the godless continent for long, but I've heard of these three sections. In front of these three sects, what is the martial pavilion? He's just an ant, another person said. It was obvious that he wasn't very friendly towards the martial pavilion either. Linlang Wudua's face darkened when he heard this. The veins on his forehead bulged as he roared. What do you know? When my father comes out of the forbidden grounds, he will definitely sweep through the world. At that time, the godless continent will be completely ruled by my martial pavilion. Oh, forbidden area? Jiang Chen whispered. Which forbidden area? The third mountain. Glittering martial towers said, I'm sure you all know what's in the third mountain, right? If my father comes out of the third mountain, who in this world can match up to him? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present was moved. This was because the third mountain was the #1 forbidden land of the godless continent. It was rumored that there was some kind of inheritance hidden within that could allow one to transcend the restrictions. As for what kind of inheritance it was and what kind of restrictions it had transcended, no one knew. Everyone knew that no one who entered the third mountain ever came out alive. However, Jiang Chen and the others had to take glittering martial towers seriously when they heard how confident he was. If glittering Jewel Wentian had truly survived the third mountain, then his strength would definitely skyrocket. At that time, the martial pavilion would really unify the godless continent. However, it was not so easy to come out of the third mountain alive. You talk about Linlang Wentian every time you open your mouth. What else do you have besides your father, whose life and death are unknown? Nien Changa said contemptuously. Then she took a step forward and stood on the arena. She said, Get up here. Accept your death. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Linlang Wu Tua leaped into the air and landed on the stage like a rock. At this moment, everyone held their breaths as they stared at the two people in the ring. After all, this was the first battle of the three-altar feast, and the two people fighting were both very strong. One was the holy son of the martial pavilion, and the other was the only disciple of the heavenly temple. Anyone related to Jiang Chen must be dealt with. Glittering Martial Tower looked proud and confident. The legend of the Martial Pavilion will begin with me. Glittering Martial Tower. You really talk a lot? The holy son of Nine Cloud Heavens curled his lips, wondering why he had such a teammate. Before the battle started, he was already talking non-stop. Did he not know that this was a battle of life and death? If he lost, the price he had to pay was his life. I'm too lazy to talk to you. Nien Changa narrowed his eyes. His body shook, and 36 lotuses appeared in the air. In the next moment, the air vibrated and distorted. The 36 lotuses bloomed, and thousands of rays of light scattered down. Before anyone could react, Nien Changa stepped into the air. His speed was as fast as lightning. When he appeared again, his palm was already on the top of the glittering Martial Tower's head. Runes circled around his body like a divine rain of light. In his palm, there was a cold light floating up and down. What? This? What a fast movement technique! Everyone exclaimed. Glittering Martial Tower's face was even paler. He roared and raised his hand, wanting to shake off Nien Changa's palm. However, his hand was only raised halfway, and his head was crushed by Nien Changa. Even his soul was shattered on the spot. The holy son of the Martial Pavilion died instantly. I said, You're just someone who relied on your father to get to where you are. Nien Changa said softly, waving the blood on his hand, and said contemptuously, Killing someone like you is simply dirtying my hands. One move, 36 lotuses. This person, Nien Changa, a disciple of the heavenly temple? At this moment, the surrounding exclamations shook the sky. No one expected Nian Changa to kill the holy son of the martial pavilion, glittering martial tower, with just one move. Even Jiang Chun was dumbfounded. He secretly thought that the Chong and clan's patriarch was indeed extraordinary. With such combat power, he was probably invincible in his generation. Cough, cough. Compared to me, he's still a little weak. Jiang Chun felt guilty. He felt that if he fought with Nian Changa at the same level, his chances of winning would only be 50-50. First round, Heavenly Abode gets 1 point. At this moment, Yin Chai's expression was ugly. He thought that glittering martial tower's combat power was superior and could win a point for the Yin village. He did not expect to lose it with just one move. Damn it, people who talk too much die the quickest. Where did you find such a teammate? The Holy Sun glanced at Yin Chai and said, "Don't you feel embarrassed for the Yin village?" Cough, cough. Don't I still have you guys? Yin Chai was also very embarrassed. Then, it's my turn next. At this moment, Lin Qin walked up to the arena and looked at the only contestant from the Qin clan. He chuckled and said, "Fellow cultivator, why don't you forfeit? This is a battle of life and death." You saw what happened to glittering martial tower, right? People who talk too much usually die the fastest. The young man who represented the Qin clan said coldly. His body was like nothingness, returning to chaos, giving off an illusory feeling. He walked up to the arena step by step, then waved at Lin Qin and said, "Come." After saying that, the young man suddenly paused and asked, "If you die in my hands, will the 18 clans attack me?" Don't worry, this is a battle of life and death. Even if you die in battle, no one will come to seek revenge. Lin Qin smiled and said, "Moreover, the 18 clans are the guardians of the bloody path. If it weren't for this battle of life and death, why would we attack cultivators like you?" "That's for the best," the young man said softly. However, when these words fell into the ears of Jiang Chun and the others, they were extremely harsh. What guardians? They were clearly a group of sinners imprisoned in the bloody path. Chapter 536. Lin Qin was very strong. He had been cultivating in the blood path since he was young. The result of cultivating under such an incomplete great Tao was that his combat strength far exceeded ordinary people. It was especially the case for outsiders like Jiang Chun, because the fighting prowess of the natives here was much higher than theirs. However, the youth who represented the Chen clan was very calm. His gaze did not even stop on Lin Qin for a second. It was as if Lin Qin did not exist in his eyes at all. Or rather, he had never taken Lin Qin seriously. Could he be? Nian Changa stared at the youth and said, "Could he be from Chaos Origin Sect?" Chaos Origin Sect? Jiang Chun was listening carefully. His expression changed. He said, "Didn't that school disappear a long time ago?" Chaos Origin Sect was a top sect in the primordial era. Chaos Origin Sect was once extremely prosperous, but it did not unify the godless continent. Instead, it disappeared overnight. The way it disappeared was rather similar to the Dongxing dynasty. Someone said that Chaos Origin Sect was destroyed by a mysterious faction. But more people believe that Chaos Origin Sect might have gone to another place. But no matter what, Chaos Origin Sect's foundation and even its disciples were extremely powerful. There was once a saying that below Chaos Origin, above all things. This was to describe the might of Chaos Origin Sect. Previously, when Nian Changa saw this youth, she did not think much. But it was not until she saw the wisp of chaos on his body and that ethereal aura that Nian Changa thought of Chaos Origin Sect. However, she could not be sure whether this youth was a disciple of Chaos Origin Sect. It was just a guess. "I thought about it. Although it's a life and death battle, I still can't kill you." Right at this moment, the youth said, "After all, you're from the 18 families. If I really kill you, the 18 families probably won't let me off." "Fellow Taoist, you're worrying too much. My 18 families are the guardians of the blood path. Even if I die in your hands, no one will come to seek revenge," Lin Qin said with a smile. He was very calm and confident. Whether I'm a guardian or not, everyone knows in their hearts, the youth said. The moment these words were said, the expressions of everyone present changed again and again. That was because the natives of the heaven-flowing world basically knew what the 18 families were. But no one would say it out loud. Even Jiang Chun and the others would never speak of this matter in front of the 18 families. But this young man had spoken of this matter in front of everyone. Although he didn't say it directly, the people present weren't fools. How could they not understand the meaning behind his words? At this moment, Lin Qin's face suddenly darkened. He stared at the young man and said coldly, "Don't you know that trouble comes from the mouth? It's just a fact." The young man spoke in a light voice as he stepped out, walking towards Lin Qin. At this moment, the wind suddenly blew. Rain dripped from the sky like icicles. Lightning filled the entire sky, as if 10,000 snakes were dancing in the air. As the youth took a step forward, the world seemed to return to chaos. But Lin Qin stood where he was, not moving at all. His expression, and even his movements were all the same as they were a second ago. Lin Qin is indeed a descendant of the 18 clans. Even in the face of such a situation, he can still remain so calm and composed. A young genius. Many people around them exclaimed in admiration. They secretly thought that Lin Qin's strength was enough to contend with the older generation. However, only Lin Qin understood that it wasn't that he didn't want to move, but that he couldn't. An inexplicable aura appeared on his body. It was like a wisp of chaotic qi. It was like thousands of mountains pressing down on him until he couldn't breathe. There was also a terrifying spirit qi that entered his soul, imprisoning all the power in his body. At this moment, Lin Qin finally understood how terrifying this unknown youth before him was. In front of this young man, Lin Qin didn't even have the strength to resist. He really wanted to admit defeat. After all, given his status, if he admitted defeat, he could walk out of the arena alive. But he didn't even have the strength to speak. And this young man had previously said that he didn't want to kill Lin Qin because he was afraid that the 18 clans would seek revenge. But now, Lin Qin finally realized that this young man was determined to kill him. Hunyuan Heaveny. At that moment, the young man walked in front of Lin Qin. As he spoke softly, he slowly extended a finger and it landed in front of Lin Qin. Buzz! In the next moment, everyone saw the wind, rain, thunder, and lightning suddenly stop. Then, Lin Qin's figure disappeared. It was as if Lin Qin had never appeared. What's going on? Where is he? Exclamations sounded one after another. Wang Kuin's eyes narrowed and he said coldly, "What did you do to Lin Qin?" "Nothing," the young man said softly. "I made him fuse with the great Tao." "What do you mean?" Wang Kun asked. "He's dead." The young man smiled. It was a rare smile. Then, he walked down the arena and looked at the Chun clan leader, asking, "This won't bring trouble to the Chun clan, right?" No. The Chun clan leader was also a little confused. He never thought that the young man he invited would be able to kill Lin Qin with one move. Lin Qin was Lin Suori's great-grandson and the most beloved descendant of Lin Suori. Now that Lin Qin was dead, it wouldn't be long before Lin Suori personally came here. At that time, the Chun clan could push all the blame to the young man. However, what would the young man do then? "I know what you're worried about. It's okay." The young man said softly, "When I reach the end of the blood path, there will be no more 18 families." "What?" the Chun clan leader exclaimed. However, he quickly reacted and shut his mouth. Then he secretly transmitted his voice. "What are you doing?" Just as I said, the young man did not transmit his voice. Instead, he said softly, "The 18 families are sinners. Death is their final destination. I didn't enter the blood path to fight for anything. I'm only here to settle some things and settle some people. If I didn't know that there would be 18 families participating in the 3-altar banquet, I wouldn't have the time to waste here." Hearing that, the Qin clan leader's heart tightened. He realized that the outsider he had invited was going to bring great trouble to the Chun clan. Don't participate in the next battle. The Chun clan forfeits, the Chun clan leader said. He was afraid that the young man would encounter Wang Kuan in the next battle. If they encountered each other and Wang Kuan was killed, the Chun clan would not be able to bear the responsibility. The Chun clan would rather not have cultivation resources than to get into such big trouble. The Chun clan and I are one. However, at that moment, the young man suddenly shouted and made his stance clear. When he said that, the Chun clan leader almost cursed out loud. What the F***, CK? You're one with the Chun clan? Are you trying to drag the Chun clan into this? Look, everyone saw and heard it. The Chun clan can't get out of this. The young man smiled and whispered to the Chun clan leader mysteriously, My name is Yuan Tiancheng. I'm from the immemorial sect. Chapter 537. Mixed Yuan sect? The Chun clan leader was shocked, but he did not shout. His eyes flashed, as if he had an idea. At that moment, the battle began again. This time, it was the lower saint against Wang Kuan. The Qinkuan sect was divided into two sections. Although the lower Qinkuan was lower than the upper Qinkuan, as a saint, the lower Qinkuan saint's battle prowess was without a doubt. However, the battle had only just begun before it ended. Wang Kuan only used one move to kill the Holy Son of Heaven and Earth. Although the three-altar feast was a life and death battle, the upper saint was naturally enraged when the lower saint was killed. However, he did not say much. Instead, he looked at Wang Kuan a few more times and closed his eyes, as if he did not want others to see his inner thoughts. If the lower saint can't do it, the upper saint can't do it either, right? Wang Kuan raised his eyebrows. He was much more arrogant than Lin Qin. The two of you, just admit defeat later. Don't go on stage. At that moment, Jiang Chen said to Long Dade and Bird Dade. His expression was very serious, and he did not allow them to refuse. Why? I'm the dragon ancestor. Can't I deal with these people? Long Dade was very unhappy, thinking that Jiang Chen was underestimating him. Bird Dade's face was also filled with displeasure as he said, Although I call you boss, I'm still not convinced by what you said. There's still the upper saint and 9 Clouds saint left. I'm not familiar with the other two. Jiang Chen explained. If you meet those two saints, you'll definitely lose. What? Boss? How much do you not believe us? Long Day glanced at Jiang Chen and said, In terms of strength, you're the weakest among us. Air. Jiang Chen's face was slightly red. He coughed a few times and said, Those two have already stepped into the sky realm. Others could not see the cultivation of the upper saint and 9 Cloud saint, but Jiang Chen had cultivated the yin-yang eye, sun-moon eye, and had already seen through their backgrounds. These two had hidden themselves very well. Although Long Dade and Niao Dade were very strong, and their battle prowess was unparalleled, the difference in their cultivation was too great. One had to know that once one stepped into the celestial realm, it was equivalent to a kind of sublimation. Even a top-notch upper-level deity realm expert would find it difficult to fight against a celestial realm cultivator. Celestial realm? Holy shit. How long has it been since the bloody path opened, and someone has already broken through to the celestial realm? Niao Dade and Long Dade exclaimed softly. They shrunk their necks and immediately agreed with Jiang Chen's suggestion. What kind of joke was this? Wasn't fighting a deity realm cultivator with a heaven realm cultivator courting death? Can I admit defeat? The young Taoist pointed at himself and said, My opponent seems to be the holy son of the continent of the 9 Clouds. If we admit defeat, do you think Lu Yang will agree? Jiang Chen said snappily, Don't worry. You will be fine. Oh, how can you be so sure? Mu Yuda was stunned. He asked curiously, Why are you so confident in me? Because of your appearance. Jiang Chen went against his conscience. He patted Mu Yuda's shoulder and said, Your appearance is unparalleled in the world, just like your fighting strength. You are invincible. Ah! Mu Yuda laughed maniacally when he heard this. He touched his face and sighed. Sometimes, The combination of good looks and strength is invincible. This kind of trouble is not something you can understand. Shameless, damn fatty, you're really good. Jiang Chun was speechless. A few words of praise, and he became arrogant. As for Long Dade and Yao Dade, they looked at Mu Yuda with disdain. Very quickly, the next battle began. This battle was between Mu Yuda and the Holy Son of the continent of the Nine Clouds. Admit defeat. The Holy Son of the continent of the Nine Clouds said to Mu Yuda, I have already broken through to the celestial realm. I can't admit defeat. Besides, I'm a handsome man. I can't admit defeat, Mu Yuda said seriously. He didn't know why he was so confident about his appearance. Then I'm sorry, the Holy Son of the continent of the Nine Clouds said. He released his chi. He was a celestial blight cultivator. But before the Holy Prince of the continent of the Nine Clouds could do anything, Mu Yuda took out a snow-white coffin. He lay down inside and closed the coffin. What are you doing? You're here to fight, not to lie down like a corpse. The crowd was speechless. What kind of battle method was that? That's white jade and mortal gold. Jiang Chun was surprised. He hadn't thought that Mu Yuda would have such a treasure. White jade immortal gold was one of the strongest immortal gold in the world. Even ordinary gods couldn't break it. The outcome of the battle was decided as soon as Mu Yuda entered the coffin made of immortal gold. It would be a draw. The result was just as Jiang Chun had expected. The Holy Son of the continent of the Nine Clouds used all his strength, but still couldn't break the coffin. In the end, he had no choice but to declare it a draw. Young man from the continent of the Nine Clouds, you're destined to lose against my handsome face, Mu Yuda said proudly after he came down from the battle arena. He didn't forget to boast. The Holy Son of the continent of the Nine Clouds was livid. He had never thought that he would meet such a weirdo, let alone that his opponent would have a coffin made of white jade and mortal gold. Not bad. That's a good coffin, Jiang Chun praised. However, as soon as he said that, Nian Changa poked Jiang Chen's shoulder and said, There's only one coffin made of white jade and mortal gold in the world. And then, Jiang Chun was stunned. He didn't know what Nian Changa meant. Cough, cough. Someone was buried in this coffin, Nian Changa said, and that person was your third reincarnation. What the F***? Jiang Chun was furious when he heard that. You bastard little Taoist. You stole my third reincarnation's body and my coffin. Cough, cough. It's mine now. Mu Yuda hurriedly put away the coffin and looked at Jiang Chun as if he was guarding against a thief. He said, It belongs to whoever gets it. It used to be yours, but it's mine now. I'll bury you sooner or later. Jiang Chun was furious. Long Dade and I admit defeat in the remaining two battles. Niao Dade and Long Dade said. They didn't want to throw away their lives. However, Liu Yang's eyes flashed with anger when he heard that. He said, Are you messing around? Don't worry. The continent of the Nine Clouds will win, Jiang Chun said. So what if we lose? Liu Yang said in a low voice. Do you know what the three altar feast means to the continent of the Nine Clouds? If we lose, you can have my life. Jiang Chun said bluntly. What do you think? Chapter 538. Before the three altar feasts started, Jiang Chun was indeed worried that he would lose. However, when the competition started and he saw that most of the participants were his own people, Jiang Chun realized that he wouldn't lose the three jugs banquet this time. Although Jiang Chun's cultivation was not high, he was about to break through to the immortal state. Moreover, he had Mu Yud and Nian Changa on his side. Jiang Chun was not sure if Mu Yud was strong or not, but Nian Changa's strength was definitely extraordinary. But now, the saint of the universe was dead. Lin Qin was dead. Even glittering Marshall Tower was dead. Jiang Chun didn't need to fear the remaining people at all. Moreover, the three altar feasts did not have to fight to the death. As long as one had the highest score, they would win. Now, 18 families had won 1 point, and the Yin family village had won 1, lost 1, and tied 1. The Great Heavens abode also had 1 point. In this way, Everyone was on equal footing. Since they were on equal footing, what did Jiangchen have to worry about? As long as there were no accidents in the following battles, Nianchanga alone would be able to help the Great Heaven's Abode win. Nianchanga was the patriarch of the Chong and clan. If it were not for the accident when he broke the seal, he would be able to defeat everyone with his strength. You said it yourself, Lu Yang said. Although he felt that Jiang Chun was extraordinary, the three-altar feast was of great importance. He did not dare to be careless. The battles continue. After a while, the first round ended. The remaining participants were Jiang Chun, Nianchanga, Mu Yud, Wang Kuan, Yuan Tianqing, the saint of Shangqingkuan, the saint of Nine Clouds, and the two remaining geniuses from the Yin family village. As for the Dark Saint, he was originally from the Bloody Hand faction. However, he was very careful and had already withdrawn from the competition. There are exactly 8 people. No one can skip, the saint of Shangqingkuan said in a low voice. He looked down and glanced at Wang Kuan. His intention was obvious. He wanted to avenge the saint of heaven and earth. Do you know how to count? There are 9 people, Mu Yid said. As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of everyone present became strange. The holy cultivator of the continent of the 9 clouds glanced at Jiang Chun and said, "Who included him? With this level of cultivation, he'll just be giving away points in the arena." Jiang Chun was stunned. He touched his old face and said, "Then can I take a buy again? Anyway, I'm just giving away points." "So, be it." Lu Yang was the first to speak. He then looked at Yin Chai and said, "Brother Yin Chai, you don't have any objections, right?" If it were someone else, Yin Chai would definitely have objections. But Jiang Chun, a contestant with a great sage cultivation, was given a buy. What other opinions could Yin Chai have? After all, as the holy son of the continent of the 9 clouds had said, he was just a free point participant. So what if he got a buy? This time around, everyone, choose your own opponents. How about it? Yin Chai said. After all, there are only a few people left. Let them do as they please. I'll fight you. As soon as he finished speaking, the holy cultivator of the upper universe stepped out and stood on the arena. He pointed his finger at Wang Kuan. Are you here for revenge? Wang Kuan raised his eyebrows. A trace of contempt flashed in his eyes. He said, "Holy son of the upper universe, I'd like to see what you're capable of. I'm afraid you won't be able to see it." The holy cultivator of the upper universe said coldly. The murderous intent in his eyes suddenly surged. Buzz! In the next moment, the holy cultivator of the upper universe suddenly pressed his hand into the void. There was a loud sound, and then the entire space on the arena began to distort. Upper universe suppression. With a long roar, the arena collapsed and the void distorted. Even Wang Kuan was sucked into the void. He didn't even have time to scream before he collapsed along with the void. So powerful. The upper universe saint's strength is probably not below yours. Jiangchen looked at Nianchanga and said, "If you meet him, are you confident?" "I should be able to win." Nianchanga nodded. "This is what you get for killing my upper universe saint." The upper universe saint said coldly, "I don't care who you are or which sect you belong to." "How interesting." Yuan Tianqing chuckled. His eyes flashed. No one knew what he was thinking. At that moment, the happiest people to see Wang Kuan being killed were the Datian prefecture and the Yin village, because only the 2 of them were left in the 3 jars banquet. As for the Qin clan, which only had 1 participant left, they didn't care at all. In this way, the pressure of competition was much lower. "I'll pick one first." At that moment, Mu Yuda spoke. He pointed at the holy cultivator of the 9 clouds heaven and said, "I'll give you another chance." The holy cultivator of the 9 clouds heaven opened his mouth, but he was furious. To be honest, among so many people, he didn't want to fight Mu Yuda the most, because this guy's white jade divine gold coffin was unbreakable. However, in the second round, the holy cultivator of the 9 clouds heaven had to pick his opponent. Mu Yuda beat him to it. Therefore, unless the holy cultivator of the 9 clouds heaven admitted defeat, he had to fight. "Sooner or later, I'll break your white jade divine gold coffin," said the holy cultivator of the 9 clouds heaven coldly. He walked onto the battle stage. However, what happened next was exactly the same as before. Muyuda walked onto the battle stage and, without saying anything, went into the white jade divine gold coffin. No matter how much the holy cultivator of the 9 clouds heaven attacked, the white jade divine gold coffin didn't move at all. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, the holy cultivator of the 9 clouds heaven was tired. The spectators couldn't watch anymore, so the battle ended in a draw. It's okay if it's a draw. The Een village will get 2 points, said Een Chai. He was thinking, where did the Datian prefecture find this weirdo? He was hiding in a coffin when fighting. You're the only one left from the Chen clan. How about we get rid of you and the Chen clan can withdraw from the 3 Jars banquet? At that moment, a young man from the Een village said. After taking a step forward, he arrived on the stage. Yuan Tianqing smiled after hearing this. He leapt into the air and landed on the ring. After that, the battle began. However, the battle ended as quickly as it started. Yuan Tianqing's first attack was like a thunderstorm. After that, there was nothing after that. The young man who represented the Een village didn't even have the strength to resist and was suppressed on the spot. The descendant of the immemorial sect is really ruthless, muttered Nian Changa. This little bastard is really troublesome. You're here, aren't you? Said Jiang Chun with a smile. He looked relaxed. The last battle of the second round was between Nian Changa and the young genius of the Een village. However, before Nian Changa could step onto the battle stage, the young genius admitted defeat. He could tell that Nian Changa was very strong. If he stepped onto the battle stage, he would definitely die. You, said Een Chai angrily. However, he couldn't force someone to do that. The Chen clan, the Een village, and the Datian prefecture have been divided into 2 parts, said the Chen clan leader with a smile. How could the Chen clan leader not be happy that a single participant could get the same number of points as the other 2 sects? Everyone, the 3 Jars banquet doesn't need to continue. Suddenly, an angry voice came from the distant sky. Chapter 539. At this moment, everyone cast their gazes into the distance, and fear appeared on their faces. This was because the newcomers were Lin Suori and an expert from the Wang clan. Obviously, Lin Suori and the Wang family had heard about the death of Lin Qin and Wang Kuan. They were here to seek revenge. Lin Qin had said that even if he died in the 3 Jars feast, the 18 families would not seek revenge. However, after he died, the 18 families would not let it go. Chun family, Een family, how dare you? After a few breaths, Lin Suori and the expert from the Wang family arrived and shouted angrily. Furthermore, as Lin Suori finished his sentence, he struck out his palm toward Yuan Tianqing. At the same time, the expert from the Wang family also threw a palm at the heaven and earth saint. Both of you, this is the 3 Jars feast. Life and death are up to fate. The Chen family leader said coldly. Although the 18 families were powerful in the Bloody Path, the Chen family was a native of the Bloody Path and was no weaker than the 18 families. Since he's participating on behalf of my Een village, then my Een village naturally has to take responsibility for him. Een Chai frowned, and then he struck out with his palm and blocked the attack of the Wang clan expert. This is different from the past. Lin Suori shouted angrily. In the past, the 18 families never participated in the 3 Jars feast. However, since the 18 families are participating in this year's 3 Jars feast, the rules should be changed. How? Moreover, you didn't say anything about changing the rules before the 3 Jars feast started. Lu Yang could not stand it anymore. He stared at Lin Suori and said, You call yourselves the guardians of the Bloody Path, but is that really the case? How dare you? Lin Suori was furious. Although everyone knew what was going on, they had to pretend since it was pointed out in front of them. After all, they had to cover up their embarrassment. Just a few celestial realm cultivators. What do you think? At this moment, Yuan Tianqing stepped out and slowly rose into the sky. When he was level with Lin Suori and the others, he spoke again, Do you think that the combat strength of the cultivators who cultivate in the celestial flowing boundary is stronger than that of the godless continent? Of course. Lin Suori raised his eyebrows. Junior, you will pay for my grandson's death today. Pay with my life? Doesn't that mean that I have to pay with my life for Wang Kuan's? The Holy Son of Upper Heaven and Earth also stood up and stood side by side with Yuan Tianqing. As his body shook, the aura of the celestial tier erupted. At the same time, Yuan Tianqing's aura also reached the celestial realm. However, both of them were at Heaven's Blight, First Heaven's Blight. In terms of cultivation, they were naturally inferior to Lin Suori and the Wang family expert. But at that moment, the holy cultivators of the continent of the Nine Clouds also rose up in the air. The three of them stood side by side, facing Lin Xuan Ri and his friend. Three brats, merely Deva first blight cultivation, and also have delusions of fighting with us? Lin Suori spoke with disdain, and his icy cold gaze swept past Yin Shai, the Qin clan's patriarch, and Lu Yang as he said, all three of you shouldn't interfere in the matter today. Otherwise, don't blame the 18 families for being impolite to you. They're just a bunch of sinners. Lu Yang's temper was very fiery. This time, he was even more direct. After saying that, he also flew up and stood in front of Yuan Tianqing and the other two. He said, "This is an adult's matter. You kids should step back. Although I, Yin Shai, am not a good person, I still know what to do in the face of righteousness and justice." Yin Shai also stood up and stood beside Lu Yang. Then, the Qin clan's patriarch hesitated for a moment, and then stood up as well. At that moment, Lin Suori's expression turned ugly. The Wang family expert next to him frowned, and a hint of fear flashed in his eyes. In terms of sex, the Great Heaven Mansion, the Yin Village, and the Qin clan could compete with any of the 18 families. However, the major sects in the celestial flowing boundary had never joined forces, which led to the 18 families' tendency to control the celestial flowing boundary. But now, the three top forces had joined forces, which made Lin Suori feel pressured and threatened. So, from today onwards, the three sects and forces will be enemies with the 18 families? Lin Suori said coldly. 18 families? You're just the descendants of 18 sinners. Your ancestors betrayed the celestial flowing boundary, and their descendants are also born traitors. Lu Yang said angrily, "We call you the 18 families because we don't want to fall out with you. Now, since you've said so, let's fight. Count the Bloody Hands sect in. The spiritual snake clan is not afraid of you." At that moment, the sect leader of the Bloody Hands sect and the clan leader of the spiritual snake clan stepped out. The leaders of the 5 sects in the northwest had gathered together to face Lin Suori and the Wang family expert. The atmosphere instantly became oppressive, like a volcano that would erupt at any time. What's going on? However, at that moment, everyone's expression changed drastically. Unknowingly, a calamity cloud had appeared in the sky. In this short period of time, 3 more tribulation clouds appeared in the sky. "Leave now," Jiang Chen shouted at Jiang Lu and the others with a strange expression. Nianchanga already knew what was going on. Before Jiang Chen said anything, he had already run away. "If I'm not wrong, this is our boss's heavenly tribulation," Jiang Lu said seriously. "You're full of F*King nonsense. How can other people's heavenly tribulation be so powerful?" Wakako said angrily. The group of people turned around and ran away. Even Yuan Tianqing and the others were dumbfounded. They counted the calamity clouds in the sky. There were at least 8 of them. That little starred. Lin Suori was furious. His face darkened as he roared. That was because they were standing on the clouds and were closest to the calamity clouds. And the moment the tribulation clouds appeared, they were dragged into it. "Who are you calling a little starred? Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows. The sun and the moon were shining in his eyes. His hair was dancing in the wind. He looked serious and said loudly, "I'm Tian Chun. You dare to trick us?" The Wang family expert said coldly. "Trick you?" Jiang Chen curled his lips. I don't have the time to trick you. You just happen to be here. The expressions of Lin Suori and the Wang family's experts became more and more unsightly. They wished they could skin Jiang Chen alive. Lu Yang and the others also looked terrible. It was as if they had eaten dog poop. They were all regretting it. If they had stood up a little later, they would not have been implicated by the heavenly tribulation. Now, it was great. 7 celestial realm powerhouses were all implicated in one go. The 5 of you, can I discuss something with you? Jiang Chen looked at Lu Yang and the other 4 and said, from now on, the 5 sects in the Northwest will agree with me, Jiang Chen. What do you think? If you agree, I'll let you escape from this heavenly tribulation. Jiang Chen said, you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.